Okay, y'all. Well, I got no other screen to show you because on desktop you cannot access the patch notes because everybody is crashing the site. However, funnily enough, YouTube, that I'm recording this live reaction for, you can read the patch notes on your phone as I'm doing this. So the patch notes came out like an hour ago, and I was late to the party, so I have to not give you all the visual. I'm gonna try to keep refreshing the page, and maybe I'll get something later, but. For now, this is the mangaka ASMR of patch notes. Although, you know what? You know what? Let's do this. We're gonna. I might actually just full screen this. Transform. Stretch to screen. Definitely ugly. But yeah. Strife 2.0's battle adjustment notes are out. And I am literally, excuse me, forced to read them on my phone. So we're going to do that in this live reaction, and I apologize for the poor video quality and everything, but it's my laptop, it's late at night, and I'm doing this because I decided to grime out the new 2XKO chromas instead of be there frame 1 on the website. So anyways, we're going to get into this. I've seen some of the notes. It sounds like this patch is a murder spree where every character is getting nerfed, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But we'll see. Overall balanced direction. Across the past updates, there has been a steady expansion of offensive options and potential combos, meaning that more situations could cause a single hit or counter hit to lead into heavy damage. As a result, this made it often the case where a single interaction could largely determine the rest of the developments in the match. In version 2.0, we aim to adjust the battle balance by re-evaluating offense and defense to strike a better balance between risk and reward. These adjustments do not simply aim to tone down damage, but to make it clear what actions will have a greater effect in different situations, creating a flow of battle where players can gradually turn the tides to their advantage over multiple interactions. I like this. I like the sound of it. I will always be a fan of interactions in fighting games. For these reasons, the adjustments include many changes that make it more challenging to gain major rewards from actions. This includes increasing damage proration, consolidating of startup frames, adjusting the state after invincible moves, limiting the return on Roman cancel, and more. As a result, the changes may seem more restrictive than before from both a game mechanic and character perspective. The intention is to prevent the baseline from rising further, creating a clear standard for future battle balance. We expect that the overall flow of battle going forward will take shape with the balance of risk and reward established in this version as the core. Combos. We have reassessed the ease of converting into combos. Previously, it was common to see long-range pokes as well as overheads and lows lead into combos dealing heavy damage. With this adjustment, we have limited the reward possible so that the value of the hit corresponds to the situation. On the other hand, we have ensured that combos requiring taking risk or making preparations to land will be suitably rewarded, such as actions that require you to enter close range, set up projectiles, use character unique gauges, or spend tension gauge. Our intention is not to make combos themselves weaker, but rather to make it clear what kind of situations can lead to major benefits. Interesting. Removing wild assault. I'll have a portion of the system balance video that I'll record and make for y'all over the next week or so. There's probably going to be multiple. Based on the notes, I'm probably going to do individual videos, like a system mechanic video and then, one for every character, just so I can steadily pump out content, because it's probably going to take me like a week or two to go through all this for the patch breakdown stuff. In Season 3, we added Wild Assault with the goal of creating a new way to use the burst gauge and expand offensive options. Our original intent was to make it an attack that felt intuitive use. Over the course of adjusting the mechanic, however, its use cases expanded. While it did create depth to the mechanic, it changed into something that required practice and knowledge to use its full potential. As a result, it functioned as a powerful option in battle, but it would lead to greatly different results depending on how precisely it was utilized. Combined with its powerful potential to extend offense, it would create situations that were very challenging for the defender to handle. In alignment with our intention to emphasize a clear shift between offense and defense in the battle balance, we decided to remove Wild Assault from this version after reevaluating its place in the game. Still crazy that they have done that they have removed a mechanic. Granted, it was a mechanic added in later years of Guilty Gear Strive, so it's not like a core mechanic. It's not like they remove Roman cancels, because the game was built with that in mind. Wild Assault was added later. Counter Blitz. We have added Counter Blitz as a new way to utilize the burst gauge. Activated during the slowdown effect after a counter hit as the cost of 50% of the burst gauge. It performs a unique attack. At the final hit, the attack hits when the opponent is near the corner. It triggers wall break. I'm told this is not a hard knockdown. This does not trigger from counter hits such as jab, as punch or kick, special moves, or any normals that cannot be canceled. So I guess if Nago still can't cancel his 5 heavy into specials, then he can't do this. Kind of crazy. This mechanic is tied directly to counter hit as the trigger, making it an intuitive way to continue your attack. While easy to start using at any play level, it also is not something that absolutely needs to be incorporated into your play. I think it's going to have some situational use at high level, like, oh, I can kill you and deny you burst. We also expect it to provide more factors to weigh for players who value battle strategy and management of the burst gauge. It will serve as a meaning reward decision making based on the situation rather than one-sidedly making offense stronger. Because that's what Wild Assault did. Offense went crazy. You got pokes that led into wall break with Red Wild Assault. You had skip neutral on characters that shouldn't have the ability to skip neutral with White Wild Assault. You had let me take my turn again after you block a crazy mix-up character like Habit Chaos or Jacko for Blue Wild Assault, right? Just a few examples. Damage state hurt boxes. We revised the hurt boxes of all characters when they're in damage state or blocking. Previously, due to differing hurt boxes between characters, some combos were only possible on certain characters or could connect unexpectedly under certain conditions. This made for unstable combos that could not be consistently recreated. With these changes, we have adjusted the standard for hurt boxes with the intention of making it clear when combos will succeed. There are 2 standard hurt box sizes, with all hurt boxes functioning the same in each category. Large hurt box. Potemkin, Faust, Nagoriyuki, Goldlewis, Bedman. Standard hurt box is all other characters. So everything's been standardized, okay? This addresses the significant difference in possible combos for only certain characters, making for clearer decision-making when it comes to combos. On the other hand, this does mean that combos previously possible only under certain conditions may no longer work. This change prioritizes the stability and reproducibility of combos. I can agree with that. We have made the same adjustment to the hurt boxes when performing actions such as dashing, backdashing, air dashing, in addition to blocking taking damage. Hitboxes. We've added new attack hitboxes that only hit when the opponent is taking damage or blocking. Follow-up hitboxes is what they call them. Previously, in order to stabilize combos, we would sometimes need to improve the hitbox of the attack themselves, but this could have an effect on the move's properties as a poke and neutral or as an anti-air as well. With this adjustment, we have added follow-up hitboxes to certain moves that only activate when the opponent takes damage or blocks. The aim is to have a way to improve the stability of combos while minimizing the effect on neutral. This makes the conditions for combos and strings clear without making major changes to moves' properties in neutral. Fascinating. For Close Slash, we have changed part of the high-altitude hitboxes to follow-up hitboxes. Ooh, maybe nerfing Close Slashes and anti-air stuff? Close Slash had different anti-air potential for each character, and it resulted in very high reward upon a successful anti-air. This adjustment helps it match the intended role of the move. Okay, I can see Milia losing this as an anti-air now, because Milia's would anti-air with Close Slash a lot. Psych Burst and Deflect Shield commands. Revise the command inputs. Previously, Deflect Shield would sometimes activate unintentionally when intended to perform a throw. So, Deflect Shield was done with quarter circle back dust. If you're sliding your input, like you're holding down back, right? And you try to slide back to get a throw, because you slid, you got quarter circle, and so the game would say, oh, you want deflection? It's like, no, I want to attack a throw. This change aims to prevent accidental inputs. Psych Burst is now Dust and Slash or Dust and Heavy Slash, so you have to use those 2 buttons. The Deflect Shield is back Dust and Punch or back Dust and Kick. Direction can be diagonal down or diagonal up. You just have to be holding back. But now you need to use Punch or Kick and Dust to trigger it. So I kind of like that change a lot because one, you can still cross up Deflect Shield because they have to react, right? They have to do that input. But because it's a simpler 1-direction input, not a 3-directional input, there's not really any mid-crossing them up. So that could be better, depending on how it looks. It's going to take some exploring. Setting clearly distinct commands also makes it more consistent to input when a fast reaction is required. Right? We are also aware that players use the original controls will need to adjust their sense for the inputs. We have decided on this change out of consideration for the button placement on various controllers, how it interact with defensive actions, keep track of the changes, adjustments. Gold Psych Burst. Ooh. We revise the input buffer upon wake up so that blue Psych Burst will not activate if the input is performed within 4 frames directly before wake up. If you input Psych Burst during this time window, you perform a gold burst directly upon wake up. Nice. Makes it more consistent to perform a gold burst as an option on wake up. On the other hand, we have decreased the knockback distance of Psych Burst on block regardless of the situation during activation. This creates less distance with the opponent, making it more likely for the offense and defense turns to switch. So it's less safe. These adjustments tend to make it more consistent to perform without greatly increasing the benefit. Follows a more defined balance of risk when it comes to offensive and defensive sides using Psych Burst. I'm going to check and see if the website has risen from the dead. Oh my god! Ladies and gentlemen, we have the web page. We have the web page. Let me just, we're going to do this, get rid of display, do window capture. Okay, so let's continue on. I'll keep my face here. And now you all can read along with me. We actually got in. Hacker noises. I'm truly in. We didn't go through the backdoor access. We kicked down the main door. I don't know why I'm doing that voice. It's funny, that's why. Purple Roman Cancel. Purple Roman Cancel works as a way to create advantageous situations while limiting the opponent's ability to punish you. However, it made it possible to deal extremely high damage upon a successful read from an advantageous situation, forcing the defending player to make highly risky choices. We've adjusted it so that when Purple Roman Cancel is used while the opponent is not taking damage, damage proration is applied for a set duration afterwards. The proration does not apply in situations where the opponent is already taking damage, such as during combos. So your PRC combos are not going to hurt for this. Because I know that is some tech for some characters, but if you get a straight hit in neutral off of this, it is limited, and I think that's really good. That's really smart. This limits the damage possible when using Purple Roman Cancel to set up frame traps or mix-ups, but it still functions as a means to create an advantageous situation as it did before. Throw offense and defense. When used with tension gauge accumulated, throw was not only an effective defensive option, but also could create situations where the opponent is forced to deal with your offense, as it could be made safe with Purple Roman Cancel. These adjustments now make it impossible to Roman Cancel throw on whiff, to introduce risk for the player using the throw. Big change. And you know, this kind of almost makes sense, because over the years they've been nerfing throw Roman Cancel option selects, and now it's like, we're done with it. Makes for a clear division for when offensive and defensive turns switched. Throw tech also had a very brief time from activation until it's possible to move again at very close range, making it challenging to assess the situation after a throw tech. We've extended the screen freeze and added distance out of the tech to create a better reset to neutral. I liked that. Okay. You tech a throw, you get a good read, and then, you know, you're rewarded by maybe not being, like, bottled up in pressure. Because sometimes you tech a throw and you're still in duress based on the matchup with what normals are flying out, and you're RPSing in that situation. In addition to these changes, command grabs no longer have throw invincibility. Wow. So then how does that work? Previously, the throw invincibility made them function as frame traps as well. As with normal throws, they can no longer be covered with Purple Roman Cancel on whiff. Potemkin Potbuster. He can't, you can't just dodge it. He PRCs and you're still in his vortex. Big nerf to him. Command grabs no longer. I guess this means I think most command grabs are longer. They take longer than a normal throw. So a normal throw might actually beat your command throw attempt. I have to look into that, but that's a crazy change, and I did get a bit of that. Actions with invincibility. We have reassessed the risk and reward of various actions with invincibility. For invincible special moves, we have adjusted the situation on hit and block while maintaining their role as reversals. We've adjusted the blowback and recovery invincible moves that could lead into Okizeme on hit, so they now return you to neutral. So using any sort of like invincible DP ender is going to put you back to neutral. So they're worse as combo tools, and that's a price they have to pay, right? Because of the fact that if you successfully DP, then you just take your turn and run offense, right? You can get off and reset to neutral. A lot more interactions are happening that are a lot more back and forth, as opposed to now it's my turn, right? They are also now easier to punish when blocked. We've adjusted the mechanics for invincible overdrives. They cannot be Roman canceled, like invincible special moves, and leave you vulnerable to counter hits during the recovery. So there's no more having a situation where you save up 100% tension gauge, right? And you're able to get a get it out of jail free card with an RC. Like, you spend the meter. If the opponent scouts it, you are scouted. So this does increase offense a little bit, because that defensive part, that situational defense, is weaker, right? So there's a lot less like swinging back and forth, and a lot less like checkmate. Well, what am I going to do here? This guy can just wake up with super. Now there's a lot more mind games, because it got to a point where if you had an invincible super wake up option and you had 100% meter, you just did it to get out of pressure. Like, it was just a get out of jail free card of, let me invalidate your hard knockdown. So I think this is a good change. They can now no longer be Roman cancel on a hit, making it challenging to deal major damage after an invincible move. So no super start combos anymore either. Backdash is also a type of invincible action, so it can no longer be Roman canceled. You backdash, there is no backdash BRC. That hurts a lot of defensive round stops. If you backdash, you have that kills so much tech. That was a very strong thing that was very much not interactable in some situations. So that is a crazy change. Plus, there's a punish indicator, I noticed. Previously, some strings used blue Roman cancel after backdash. We have made it no longer possible to Roman cancel demanded situations where using invincibility to evade attacks could lead to high rewards. Honestly, a base change, because I felt like that was a frustrating element to fight against because it was non-interactive, you know? There's a lot more... There's a lot more sort of fine-tuning with, like, Roman canceling, not just saying, I don't get punished for making this mistake, you know? It's more like, the state of the game has a lot more consequences to actions right now because there's a less things you can do with Roman cancel. Roman cancel is sort of there for PRC, you know, for whiff recovery stuff, so that's still there, but you get less reward for it. You have RCs to extend combos as a classic thing. You have yellow Roman cancel to get the opponent off of you. I mean, but like, oh, if you make an aggressive choice, you no longer get to just make it absolutely safe. Like a DP is a DP, right? This again falls in line with how they've been balancing the game over the past couple of years. Oh, really? We have revised the input mechanics for Faultless Defense. Previously, inputting 2 attack buttons simultaneously when you had no tension gauge would perform an unintended normal move instead of Faultless Defense. With these adjustments, inputting Faultless Defense will now result in the blocking animation even when you have no tension gauge. When you have no tension gauge, it will not result in the additional knockback and chip damage notification unique to Faultless Defense. In certain instances where activation can be delayed, using Faultless Defense, such as the forced end of Nagoriyuki's Blood Rage and Appa's Jealous Rage, the mechanics have been adjusted so they can no longer be delayed. So you pop when you pop. Interesting. The input mechanics. So the input's the same, but like what happens when you input it. Wall break and positive bonus. So I talked about this in my other video, my reaction to some dev footage. Previously, it's possible for characters with powerful mix-up to maintain their offense in a way that was very challenging to handle for the defender after triggering wall stick when the defender was taking damage on the ground. We have made adjustments so that even if wall stick is triggered with grounded damage, they perform a tech the same as if the wall stick was triggered with aerial damage. They got rid of wall slumps. Holy shit. Wow. Because, yeah, so many times, if you got a wall slump, you just went with it. Now you create that tech situation. I'm going to have to lab that a bit, but wow, they got rid of wall slumps. A lot more homogenizing kind of happening here, but... We have also revised the mechanics for positive bonus. There is a penalty making players gain less tension gauge for a set duration after using an overdrive or Roman cancel. Previously, this penalty duration was shortened during positive bonus. The shortened duration no longer applies as of this adjustment. This means that the penalty to tension gauge now applies as normal after the effective actions, even during positive bonus. This makes the move chosen to trigger wall break an important decision when looking to gain tension. So again, you break the wall with your overdrive, and you lock yourself, you lock yourself out of meter, but you give up that meter generation for a hard knockdown. And in the dev village, we saw so many times there was round start RC shenanigans happening, and that was strong, but then it killed your meter gain, right? So now there's a lot of, oh, I need to... If you want to use positive bonus to build tension, you need to break the wall without spending meter, and then you have to not spend meter afterwards. So there's a lot more interaction and decision making with how you spend resources, which I think is interesting. Low profile moves. Previously, some crouching kick attacks could be used to evade attacks due to the low profile stance they triggered. This created a great variation in characters' abilities to intercept certain strings. As of this adjustment, the crouching kick attack with low profile have had their hitbox extended upwards, so they no longer count as low profile. Axel 2K is shot. We have also revised the damage dealt by attacks that move forward while in low profile stance, that they provide a high benefit at low risk. In addition to heavy damage paration, they now have added a combo blowback paration to make it harder to extend combos. So this should also affect like Soul Raid Vortex. These changes aim to even out the outlier situations created by the difference in the character stances. Damage paration. We have reevaluated damage paration for moves that are easy to connect with and can begin combos. Previously, it was possible to deal major damage from moves that are relatively easy to hit with. With these changes, we have set high damage paration for some moves to limit the benefit from them. This applies to the following types of normal and special moves: lunging special moves, overhead special moves, projectiles, standing punch, crouching punch, low profile lunging moves. So both your standing jab and your crouching jab have more damage paration. Projectiles will scale combos harder. Overhead scale them harder. Anything that lunges you forward, like a lariat style move, and low profile lunging moves. Damn. There's so much stuff happening here. I mean, they are really tuning down the power of this game. Deadass Strive might become a first to 2 game overnight. We'll have to obviously play it out and see. But it might be a first to 2 game now, which is crazy to think about. It has more potential to be one, I should say. Moves fast startup. Previously, there was a difference in the startup speed of the fast attacks for different characters. There was a great difference between characters with 4-frame startup move and those that without it when it came to punishing and interrupting the opponent successfully. In order to align the conditions for success in these situations, we have set the fastest move for all characters to 5 frames. Everybody has a homogenized 5-frame jab. Wow. So that means -5 instead of -4 is the new standard for a move being safe. Or -6, I guess. Aligning the startup frames creates a clearer baseline for decision making when it comes to punishing and interrupting. Damn. 6P hurt boxes. We revised the timing when 6P enters a low profile stance. Previously, different characters 6P would enter a low profile stance at different frames. This meant that only some characters can interrupt certain strings. We made adjustments to unify these conditions, making it so that all characters start with a slightly reduced upper hurt box as of frame 1, and the hurt box shrinks to its smallest size at frame 4. This makes your ability to interrupt strings less dependent on the character. Nice. I mean, it is getting rid of a lot of matchup stuff, but I don't know. I kind of like the idea of a universal system mechanic kind of behaving universally. And that kind of seems, that's also been a goal of Guilty Gear Strive. It's sort of been like getting rid of a lot of that techie uniqueness where it's like these characters behave differently with these system mechanics, you know? It's better for more casual audiences. But it's also nice for like the sweats, because it's like, if I wanted to go hard and Strive, right? Like there's like knowing how different things would behave with one another. Like matchups can already be crazy enough, but then when it comes to like how some of my mechanics might interact with other mechanics, like 6P for example, that could get a little crazy. It makes it easier for you to play Strive as like a secondary game. You don't need to do as deep of a dive, which some people will like, some people won't. Damage rates on counter hit. Previously, damage would increase by 10% on counter hit. This would further increase by 20% when the risk level was max and could lead to extremely high damage in certain situations when combined with the lower defenses. With these adjustments, we remove the damage modifier upon counter hit. This limits the upper potential of combos starting from counter hits. Counter hits still trigger the slowdown effect, meaning they still provide benefits in terms of hit confirming and choosing your next attack. This change aims to make it still valuable on hit while keeping the potential damage within an appropriate range. Wow, counter hits no longer buff damage. Wow, I mean, you just get better damage by better combos. Charge commands. We reevaluated the conditions for successful charge commands. Previously, they required 30 frames of charge time, adjusted so they now require 25 frames instead. Makes it easier to perform charge moves with a single poke or an action using a forward input with smoother controls. Okay. That's a Leo buff. Damn, there's a lot. And that's just the preamble. Wild Assault removed, Counter Blitz added, Hurt Box changed the Hurt Box during hit stun and block stun, during forward dash, stopping from a dash, back dash, and air dash. Hurt Box has been unified in 2 standard sizes. Follow-up hitbox, that's been added. Note that the follow-up hitbox does not attack when attacking your own Servant, Jacko, or Ball Venom. Psych Burst command has changed. They reduced the knockback on Gold Burst. You can buffer that on Wake Up. Command changed to those. Deflect Shield can no longer be activated while Deflect Shield is active. Based. Because, yeah, that would be annoying. First 2 frames of ground and air throws can now be canceled into deflection. Wait, the first 2 frames of ground and air throws can now be canceled? What? You can Kara cancel a throw into that? I mean, it's going to be kind of bad, but I guess, like, there might be some defensive option selects that you can do with that. Like, tech the throw and block still. It's probably there too, just in case like you do get that throw input and you meant to get a deflect shield. It's probably what that means. Reduce damage attention gains for 60 frames, 1 second, when activating Purple Roman cancel while the opponent is not taking damage. Scaling does not apply. Yep. Combos. All throws can no longer Roman cancel on whiff. Throw clash, increase the separation distance, recovery change from 30 frames to 40 frames. Backdash can no longer Roman cancel. This includes the backdash during Leo's Brynhilder stance. Add punish text when taking damage during the action. Faultless defense, blocking pose even when the tension gauge is empty. Increase knockback and chip does not apply. Change the visual effect when blocking during faultless. Add a special visual effect when performing an instant block during faultless defense. So they didn't change instant blocking at all. What we saw was just changes to faultless defenses, animation stuff. Wall stick, added the ability to tech from a grounded wall stick in the same way as an aerial wall stick. Positive bonus tension, penalty, state duration is no longer reduced. Lunging attacks, based damage scaling changed from 80% to 70%, so 10% less. Moves additional properties beyond 4 movement already have heavy base damage scaling and are excluded, such as moves with overhead properties, Soul's Banditbringer, moves with projectile properties, Alpha Blade, moves with invincible armor properties. So there's some moves where this doesn't apply because they already had extra scaling. Low profile property lunging attacks. Change base damage scaling. The change in base damage scaling varies depending on the move. Increase combo blowback scaling when hitting as the first hit in the combo. This change is identical regardless of the move. The following moves are affected. May's 6K, her slide. Jacko's sweep, 2D. Biken's crouching heavy slash, where she slashes with a sword. Base damage scaling from 80% to 60%, so everything's down to 60%. Soul's Night Raid Vortex. Kai Stun Dipper. Eno Stroke the Big Tree. Sin's Elk Hunt, including follow-ups. Unica's ATDD Penetrate. Overhead special moves, excluding jump attacks. Base damage scaling changed from 80 to 70%, so to increase combat and increase combo blowback scaling when hitting as the first hit in the combo. Overhead special moves. This doesn't apply to dust, by the way. But PRC dust combos, no, those will stay the same because the opponent got hit by the dust. Projectiles, base damage scaling changed from 80 to 60%. Moves with invincible armor properties in addition to the projectile property already have heavy base damage and are excluded. Jacko's Defend Command. Standing B, Crouching B from 80% to 60%. Standing K for Soul, Chip, Amelia, which were previously treated with the same damage scaling, have been changed similarly. So even those kick attacks have also been applied. Counter hit. Remove the mechanic that increased the damage of the move caused by a counter hit by 10%. Remove the mechanic that increased it when hitting the opponent with 20% risk. Note that Slayer's Bloodsucking Universe has a mechanic that increases the damage of move causing counter hit by 20%, but previously this was stacked with the universal counter hit damage multiplier. Going forward, only the damage multiplier of Bloodsucking Universe will be applied. Damn, he got like a 40% buff then if it adds additively, if I'm using that right. Wall bounce. The strength of wall bounce is now affected by combo blowback scaling. The wall bounce becomes weaker later in combos when combo blowback scaling is higher. Interesting. That could affect some routes. Risk level. The value at which risk gauge turns red changed from 80 to 75%, so it triggers earlier. When it reaches level 75 or higher, tension gauge gain increases. Previously, the color changed at 80%, so the adjustment aligns the color change with the mechanic. Jump. Added a punish text when taking damage during jump starter. That's cool. That's actually really cool for legibility because now if you see someone get hit in the middle of a string and you see punish, you go, oh, they were jumping. Like you just know why they got hit. That's really cool. I like that as a commentator. Landing recovery. Fix an issue making it possible to cancel landing recovery with another action when landing exactly the same time as a super level flash for moves with landing recovery. Fix an issue making it possible to block or throw a clash at the exact moment of landing for certain moves. Okay. Projectiles. Remove the influence of proximity requirements on projectile classes. Previously, when projectile had a proximity requirement, clashes sometimes did not occur due to the proximity requirement. Okay, some very technical stuff. Tension gauge and burst gauge no longer increase once combo blowback scaling exceeds a certain amount. This might be a dizzy buff. Like she doesn't give you a whole bunch of burst anymore. Previously, gauge gain when taking damage increased endlessly as the combo grew longer, but going forward, it will stop increasing past a certain limit. Interesting. They are slowing that down. I wonder if that fixes Dizzy's issue. Guard Crush. Those that can connect during combos no longer hit opponents who are in Guard Crush. Removing some unblockables. Here's the cast. All right. Going to be here for a bit. For Soul, reassess the overall structure of his combos again, making adjustments to limit the maximum potential reward from mid-screen. Added his new move Sidewinder, ignited to act as a combo finisher. Given the limited reward he gets from combos now, we have expanded the breadth of options he has at neutral. We removed some of his powerful mix-up strings, determining they did not align with Soul's offensive game based on close range strike throw mix-up. Sidewinder ignited is a new move, available as a follow-up after the heavy slash version of Volcanic Viper. It works well as the last hit in a combo as it knocks the opponent down on hit. Has a clean hit property, dealing high damage when he hits it in the correct position. It also triggers wall bounce in the corner of clean hit, make it possible to continue combo if it hits early on in the combo. To align, we have removed the clean hit property from the heavy slash version of Volcanic Viper. Damn, so you have to now clean hit with that move instead. Yeah, he's different character again, crazy. Sped the startup of Gunflame and added an extra flame pillar, extending its range. Damn, it's fast. Oh, mid-range, I like the sound of that. Each flame pillar has shorter active time individually, which means it reaches its maximum range faster. It has worse frame advantage now, making weaker when the opponent blocks at a close range, but it instead works better as a mid-range poke. I don't hate it. Gunflame Feint now moves slightly forward on activation. That was seeing that in those clips. Makes it possible to maintain your offense from closer range than before if you catch the opponent by surprise. Fafnir made it possible to extend combos mid-screen too much, so we revise its properties. Aha! Remove the wall bounce effect, changing it to a tumbling knockdown. This makes it possible to follow up only after a clean hit near the corner and not when mid-screen. Fair. Adjustments to Banner Revolver and Jumping P have made the powerful block string Banner Revolver, Red Roman cancel, Jumping P no longer possible. The string was highly effective as mix-up and led to high reward, which allowed it to function outside of the scope of Soul's concept of offense based around making predictions with strikes and throws. So they're taking away his high-low. Standing P, 4 to 5 frame startup. This is universal. 6P changed the timing when the upper hurt box is smallest from 3 frames to 4 frames, so he had a bit of a privileged 6P. Crouching kick, startup change from 5 frames to 6 frames on his crouching K. I guess it makes sense because, like, you slow down his punch, right? So slowing down his kick makes it better. Less it competes with his punches. Close standing slash, change attack hitboxes above a certain height into follow-up hitboxes, so worse as an anti-air. Crouching S, reduce knockback on hit. So then it should keep him closer, possibly improving some combos and links. Jumping P, startup change from 5 frames to 6 frames. Okay. Gunflame, 2 frames faster, frame advantage on block, 2 frames worse. 5 pillars, active change from 8 frames to 6 frames. Okay. Gunflame Feint now moves forward during the action. Volcanic Viper slash version, counter hit effect removed, so you don't get the Oki. Volcanic Viper, ground S version. Lightning recovery change from 10 frames to 22 frames. Damn. It's big. Frame advantage on hit change from plus 17 to plus 5, and frame advantage on block change from negative 28 to negative 40. Probably like a full dust punish at that point. Volcanic Viper Heavy Slash can now be followed up with the Sidewinder and United. Remove the clean hit property. Damage on the second hit change from 40 to 50. Volcanic Viper ground version, heavy, startup change from 13 to 14. Reduced upward movement speed, reduced gravity applied during the ascent, increased gravity applied during the descent. Increased launch height on the initial and the second hit, made the second hit less susceptible to combo blowback scaling. Volcanic Viper air version made it harder to carry momentum. Yeah, because you could fly with that and do follow-ups. Reduced forward movement speed, reduced upward movement speed, reduced gravity applied during ascent, but increased it during the descent. Increased blowback on the second hit, increased launch height of the second hit, made it second hit less susceptible to combo blowback scaling. Sidewinder added forward heavy slash after Volcanic Viper. Oh yeah, and because they removed the clean hit effect, you no longer get like an instant wall break. Bandit Revolver ground, reduced upward movement speed. As it lands faster than before, the window transition to the second hit has been reduced by 2 frames. Line of recovery change from 12 to 13. As it lands faster than before, there's no change to the frame advantage on block, so they just made it kind of behave the same. But the upward movement speed, he probably just isn't able to even be up in the air anymore. Bandit Bringer, all versions. Added a proximity requirement preventing him from hitting an opponent located behind the character's own push box. Bandit Bringer ground, reduced knockback. Wild Throw, remove throw invincibility. Fafnir, the opponent will now tech upon landing, remove the wall bounce effect on clean hit, and add a tumble effect. So it's no longer a hard knockdown or a knockdown for you to work with. Tyrant Rave, characters in the counter hit state until the end of recovery. That's a pretty universal change. Can no longer Roman cancel. Clean hit no longer occurs when hitting as the first hit in a combo. Wow, so you don't get the damage of clean hit as a reversal. Yeah, Soul's whole combo theory is reworked again, but I mean, it's par for the course these days. Kai, new move, Lightning Strike. Receive adjustment, help him benefit from making decisions based on the situation, making accurate predictions. Moves such as S-Slash and Stun Dipper, challenging to counter neutral, have been tuned down. Lightning Strike creates a bolt of lightning in the position of another projectile, such as Stun Edge. This can hit the opponent when they attempt to jump or cross under. Uses to limit their moves. Far S and Crouching S had fast recovery despite their long range, making them extremely safe options in neutral. With these adjustments, we revise the balance between risk and reward by extending the recovery. Okay. It will now be crucial to make decisions as you use projectiles, Stun Edge, and Lightning Strike. Change the damage and combo blow preparation for low-profile moves. Applies a Stun Dipper, thus reducing the damage it can lead into combos as well as the ability to launch the opponent. It is also harder to benefit from confirming it has been blocked and using PRC to maintain your offense due to the damage preparation added to the PRC. Yeah, because that was the thing that Kais could do and did often. Air Backdash. Expanded Hurtbox. Adjustment made was extremely small compared to other characters. Okay, yeah, so he had a very small back dash hurt box. Close standing S above a certain height to follow up hitboxes, nerfing it as an anti-air. Far standing slash recovery change from 16 frames to 20 frames. Frame advantage on block change from -5 to -9. Damn, 4 more frames of recovery. It's -9 on block now. Crouching S, recovery increased by 4. Stun Edge can now be followed with Lightning Strike, reduce horizontal blowback on air hit. Charge Stun Edge can now be followed up, expanded hitbox backward. Interesting. Charge Stun Edge Dragon install hit stop change from 15 to 11. Frame advantage of block at point blank range change from 82 frames to 62 frames. Okay. Might change in block strings and stuff. Lightning Strike has been added. Stun Dipper added a follow-up hitbox to the upper part of the second hit's hitbox. So it's something that only hits when it's in combo. Fruiter Arc during Dragon Assault increased knockback on hit for the final hit. Interesting. Counter hit or effect remove on Vapor Thrust. Landing recovery increased by 8 frames. So he's only +6 instead of +22. Increased horizontal blowback, decreased launch height. Vapor Thrust, decreased launch height. Ride the Lightning. Characters at counter hit state can no longer roam and cancel. Pretty universal stuff for him. We revised the properties of Mr. Dolphin Vertical, which did not see much use in neutral, to make it more viable. On the other hand, moves such as 6K that can easily 3K catch the opponent or standing heavy that was highly rewarding and challenging to counter have been toned down. Slash version of Vertical covers more horizontal movement distance, making it easier to land from a similar range as far S or crouching S. It now triggers additional knockback, making it hard to use your approach by making the opponent block it. Instead, it now functions as a new offensive option. Heavy Slash version of Mr. Dolphin Vertical gains additional travel distance when performed outside of a certain range from the opponent. As it can only be performed from a set range and has slow startup that it makes it easy to react to, we've adjusted it so that Mei lands at a close position compared to the Slash version when it is blocked. Adjusted the Slash version of Horizontal Dolphin so that Mei lands faster on hit, creating a situation where she has advantage. In exchange, it leaves her at a greater disadvantage than before when blocked and does not trigger stagger on counter hit. Ooh. It is affected by the universal change that makes charge input faster, making it easier to land at the intended range. Add a proximity requirement to 3K, makes it no longer possible to hit the opponent at the edge of their hurt box, meaning you must approach in order to hit with this attack. Due to the effect of the changes to damage combo for low profile, harder to extend your combo by roaming, canceling, and on hit. Standing Heavy Slash was a hard move to counter, leading to high reward with fast recovery. The adjustments increase recovery. Yeah, 5P is 5 frames. Crouching Kick expanded the hurt box upward. So no low profiling stuff. 6K added a horizontal proximity requirement. Close standing slash change attack hitboxes above a certain height into follow-up hitboxes. Standing Heavy Slash recovery change from 15 frames to 23 frames. Frame advantage on block change from -4 to -12. It's not a safe stagger anymore. Good God. And if you whiff it too. Good God, man. Sweep, expanded hurt box upward. Charge time change from 30 to 25. Expanded the push box upon a successful attack. The Slash version reduced knockback on hit, remove the stagger effect on counter hit, increase upward movement speed on block. As a result, frame advantage on block change from -3 to -4. Still safe on block. Reduce upward movement speed on hit. Frame advantage on hit change from 0 frames to 3 frames. So if you do get hit, it's her turn. On air hit, it now blows the opponent back in the direction Mei is facing. Decreased launch height on air hit. Added a follow-up hitbox behind the attack hitbox. Expanded the proximity requirement backward. Reduced knockback on Heavy Slash version, so she's closer, able to threaten better frame traps. Dolphin Vertical. Charge time change from 30 to 25. Remove the mechanic that changed movement speed by holding P. Changed the descending part to a mid-attack, so it's no longer an overhead. Expanded hitbox and hurt box forward and downward. Stage edge collision box forward. Makes it difficult to cross up the opponent in the corner. Increased knockback on the Vertical Slash version. Increased forward movement speed. When the distance from the opponent is above a certain amount, forward movement speed now decreases depending on the distance. You reduce knockback on hit for the descending part. Overhead kiss, lost throw, invincibility. Yep. Axel. Reevaluated the mechanics of Winter Mantis, which is not commonly used in neutral or in strings to make it more viable. I've also adjusted Sickle Flash and Whistling Wind to give them more utility in neutral. On the other hand, we adjusted the hurt box of Crouching K, which is a very powerful defensive tool, as well as the blowback of 6K to limit the damage it can lead to in combos. Winter Mantis now functions as a low strike rather than a command grab. No full screen grabs. That's crazy. With a change to a strike and now a shorter recovery, it can work as a poke at long range. When it hits on a combo, it draws the opponent in like it has previously and is impossible to continue attacking. We've reduced the recovery of Sickle Flash as the reward on hit or block did not counterbalance the risk from how vulnerable it left Axel. Greatly increase the projectile speed of the charge version of Whistling Wind and decrease the active frames. They are both now viable means of limiting opponent's movements and creating an opportunity to approach. As a result of universal changes, Hurtbox or Crouching K no longer enters an extremely low stance. While this move was crucial Axel's defense game, we removed the low profile trait given his concept as a far range character. Sis K does not launch the opponent as high on grounded hit as before. This makes it no longer possible combo from Crouching K to 6K into Winter Madness. Sickle Flash still connects as a combo, however, so it is possible to combo off of Crouching K. The start of 6K now has a larger hitbox below, allowing it to hit all characters, even if they are crouching. Crouching Kick, expanded hitbox upward. 6K, decreased launch height on ground hit, expanded hitbox downward during startup. Close standing slash, change attack hitboxes above a certain height into follow-up hitboxes. Standard stuff. Decreased launch height on ground hit, so 6K, yep. Crouching heavy slash, decreased the first half of the active phase change from 45 to 35. Wow. Damage of the first half changed. Damage of the second half of the active phase changed from 67 to 52, so less damage on Crouching Heavy Slash. 6 Heavy Slash. Change to a mid attack. So he lost his overhead. Startup change from 27 to 23. Base damage scaling has been changed, so it's more rewarding. Decreased combo when hitting as the first hit in a combo. Reduced knockback for the second half of active frames. Expanded hitbox forward for the second half of the active frames. Wonder when you use this now. Sickle Flash. Recovery reduced by 6 frames. Frame advantage from -19 to -13 point blank. Soaring Chain Strike during Sickle Flash. Hit stop applied to opponent on block change from 14 frames to 18 frames. That's just hit stop, so it's like more responsive, I guess. I had to look at that. Spinning Chain Strike during Sickle Flash down. Strengthened Vacuum Effect. The vacuum effect now ends when the active frame ends. Now pulls the opponent in when hitting with any other part other than the final hit. Increased knockback on the final hit. Ends when the active frames end. Interesting. We'll have to see what that does. Winter Madness, change to a low physical. Hitting a ground opponent is the first hit of combo. Standard lock on cinematic still occurs. Lock on cinematic does not occur when hitting an airborne opponent or when hitting as part of a combo. Recovery changed from 34 frames to 15 frames. Added a guard crush effect. Frame advantage on block at point blank range is now 23. Increased horizontal blowback when hitting as part of a combo. Decreased launch height when hitting as part of a combo. Reduce knockback on Snail. Midair Snail. Remove wall bounce effect. Ooh. Rainwater. Decrease launch height. Ooh. Active frames. Rainwater. Hold version. Changed from 119 to 59. Increase the projectile's movement speed when the distance from the opponent is above a certain amount. Projectile now returns immediate movement speed when it touches something and when reflected. Interesting. Sickle Storm. Character is in counter state until the end of recovery. Can no longer roam and cancel. Chip Zangief. Honestly, I kind of feel like Axel's nerfed. I mean, he also does not like losing Red Wild Assault, but that is what it is. He might also benefit from the game having less damage overall. Adjusted Alpha Blade Horizontal, which is not used as often, so now can be followed up by Alpha Blade Diagonal. Oh, gods. Expand his option neutral, combos, and block strings. On the other hand, we've adjusted the blowback of Alpha Blade Diagonal, making it hard to extend combos from mid-screen for corner carry. I've adjusted recovery and active time of the rope from tight rope to make it easier for opponents to deal with. Ooh, okay. Alpha Blade Horizontal has been adjusted with faster startup, so it can now combo after standing heavy slash. Faster startup makes it more challenging to land as a cross-up. Can now be followed up by Diagonal Blade on hit or on block. Different properties. Making it less viable mid-combo for Diagonal Blade. Grounded Diagonal Blade. Makes it harder to carry a point from mid-screen to the corner all at once, but will combo into Aerial Alpha Blade on aerial hit, creating opportunity for knockdown. Because that means, do the retreating movement as Chip sets up tightrope, it would make it challenging for opponent to punish due to distance. We have increased the recovery, giving more time for the opponent to run in and punish it. Tightrope also remains for a short duration, limiting the length of time the opponent needs to deal with Chip's pressure. Okay. Fair changes. Startup change, yeah, 5 frame, 6p. Change the timing when the upper hurt box is smallest from 3 to 4. Close standing, yeah. Crouching S can no longer be canceled into Crouching Heavy Slash on Whiff. Oh, okay. Can now be followed up with Alpha Blade Diagonal. Along these specifications have been completely revised. Remove the slight knockback that occur when the projectile touch something. Diagonal all versions. Now change when activated as a follow-up. Alpha Blade Diagonal Ground. Increase horizontal blowback on air hit. Decrease launch height on air hit. Beta Blade. Counter hit effect removed. Beta Blade, landing recovery from 8 frames to 21, so he's now +4 and -40. Roku Sai, reduced knockback. during rest show. That's like his other record. Wall run, hold dash, remove the slight knockback of the curve when the projectile touch something. Hitbox of Alpha Blade no longer disappears when transitioning to wall run from Alpha Blade horizontal. Okay. Extend the time it takes before a wall run attack can be performed when transitioning to wall run from Alpha Blade. Oh, geez. They've nerfed all of his damage on his wall run normals. Tightrope recovery changed. They've increased it by 7 frames. Duration of the rope changed. They took off almost 100 frames, about a second and a half. And then they reduced the damage of his normals on the tightrope as well. Potemkin. To expedite things, I'm going to skip the write-downs and just get right into the adjustment details because it is getting late for me. Well, I'd like to do all this as one video. Faster walk speed. Yeah, follow up. Expanded hitbox and hurtbox downward on crouching S. Standing heavy now launches the opponent on grounded. Ooh, okay. Opponent will now attack upon landing. Reduce horizontal blowback on counter hit. Increase tumble duration on counter hit. 6 heavy slash. Now moves forward during the action. Damage changed. Active frames changed from 5 to 7. Okay. Better poke, but less reward. Expanded hurtbox downward. Oh, can you anti-air that now? Pop Buster. Remove the ability to withstand an attack. They removed the armor on Pop Buster. Holy shit. They actually did it. The change they never should have done. That is crazy. And they removed the throw invincibility, too. Holy shit. Well, I mean, we knew that one was coming, but thank God they got rid of Armor Pop Buster. I mean, that was illegal. Slide head. Change the startup animation. Visual change only does not affect the attack properties or hurt box. Interesting. Hammerfall. Charge time change from, yep, so it's faster. Remove the ability to withstand low attacks. So if you have a good low poke, you could check Potemkin now. No longer turns to face the opponent when withstanding an attack. So if you get behind him and swing, he'd like 180 on you. Damn, they're finally coming for Potemkin. Hammerfall break P during Hammerfall. Yeah, you can't withstand lows even with the break either. Jesus. Just get hit by a low, son. What? Okay, damn. And he lost white Wild Assault. Well, he had blue Wild Assault in the recent versions. Projectiles reflected by FDB. Transition to the same explosion as a hit 30 frames after startup. The explosion now occurs closer than before. Hit stop reduced. Opponent will now attack upon landing, so he doesn't get a hard knockdown. Damn. They're hitting his knockdowns. They're hitting his neutral. They're hitting his mix. People have been waiting for this. He's in counter hit state until the end of the recovery. Can no longer Roman cancel the heavily Pop Buster. Good God, man. Gigantor Kai. Active frames change from 465 to 105 frames. God. They reduce it by a fourth. Holy shit. Increase the movement speed. Now deaccelerates when touching the opponent. Deacceleration now returns to original speed after a set amount of time. Wow. People have been waiting for those nerfs. Faust. Crouching P, expanded hurtbox. Crouching K, expanded hurtbox. No more low profiling. Close standing slash, change attack hitboxes above a certain height into follow-up. Yep. Command movement, expanded hurtbox upward during... Oh, by how much? With the normals I get, with the command movement, I'm not so sure. Animation can now be interrupted with S when touching the opponent. What? You can stop mix. They remove the throw invincibility on snip. Love. Increased launch height of the explosion part. Love during the alpha state is unchanged. That's where he, shoots his little paper bag at you. Donut can now be acquired while falling, adding an effect that recovers the tension gauge upon acquisition. Banana can now be acquired while falling. Note that the banana peel cannot be acquired. Afro can now be acquired while falling. Acquiring an Afro while already in Afro state now extends the duration. Duration not extended. The Afro is on fire. Faust enters a hit stun state after the Afro is ignited by a fire attribute tech to jump D. That burning Afro now disappears. Oh, so he no longer pops and explodes, I guess? A buff to make it so it's not punishing to him? Fix an issue causing the burst gauge decreasing the opponent wall sticks from Afro. Along with this fix, the blowback under certain conditions has changed. Trumpet can now be acquired while falling. Reduced forward movement speed. As a result, the trumpet now falls closer than before. Reduce upward movement speed. Reduced applied gravity. As a result, the trumpet now falls more slowly, making it easier to acquire in the air. The time it takes to reach the ground remains the same as before. Bone crushing excitement. Startup change from 21 to 15. It's faster now. That's good. What could this be? Recovery reduced. Final item can now be stocked by holding P. Doing so, the recovery increases back to the old duration. Interesting. Interesting choices. Milia. Crouching P, 6P, pretty standard. Crouching kick, pretty standard. Slash standard. Expanded hitbox and hurtbox and crouching S. Sweep, expanded hurtbox upward. Maybe it's so you could probably poke it gets it better. Bad Moon. When activated above a certain altitude, ground opponents can no longer tech on landing from the final hit. Oh, it gives you knockdown now at a certain height. When activated above, decrease launch height of the final hit. We'll have to see how that looks. Tandem top. Increase the projectile's forward movement speed. Reduce horizontal blowback, decrease launch height, fix an issue preventing a hurtbox from appearing at her feet upon landing. Reduce blowback, decrease launch. I feel like I should read this real quick. To limit her combo routes, she's able to perform highly damaging combo routes in various starters. Artemis recovered quickly, was challenging for the opponent to deal with, adjusted it so that Milia is more likely to lose her turn of offense when it's blocked. Standing K and have improved utility, allowing her to excel to launch her ground offense. More running hit, give her combos, reduce the knockback on standing K. You have to make it easier to confirm off of. Adjust the launch and hit after S version, making harder relaunch opponent when used mid combo. On the other hand, reduce the greater advantage on hit. Projectile also moves faster, making it viable as a long range poke. Now gains different properties when used at a high altitude. Yep, causing a hard knockdown. Gain advantage set up with immediate or perform before attacking, makes more warning successfully. Adjusted the launch of Iron Savior on grounded hit, reducing the buffer time. It's a possible combo off of a hit. Okay. So they kind of nerfed some of her mix-up stuff. Tam top, that's a new neutral too. Iron Savior animation now ends when switching positions with the opponent. Counter hit effect removed. Decreased launch height on ground hit. Miraz, expanded hurtbox upward. Lust Shaker. Recovery change from 16 frames to 15 frames. Frame advantage on block. So now it's safe on block, universally. Increased knockback on block for the final hit. Reduced knockback on hit for the final hit. Lust Shaker, repeated press version. Recovery change from 18 to 17. Frame advantage on block change from -7 to -6. Damage of the final hit change from 7 to 9. Reduced knockback on hit for the final hit. Now launches the opponent on ground with the hit with the final hit. Reduced horizontal blowback for the final hit. Increased launch height of the final hit. Change hit stun state when hit by the final hit. Lust Shaker, maximum press version. Recovery reduced by a frame. Damage increased. Launches the opponent on grounded hit. Artemis, landing recovery change from 8 to 14. It's now -8 instead of -2. Increased launch height. Recovery is increased. Follow-up improv remains unchanged at 6 frames. Expanded hurtbox downward while in the air. So Artemis is a little worse. Probably just combo tool now. Characters in a counter hit state to the end. No longer Roman cancel. Expanded hitbox at the descending part upward. Revised float. Also sped up the start of Invite Hell. Combo from crouching S hits. Second hit appears as slower, can no longer come after counter hit from crouching S. This limits the possible benefit as it would use the possible trigger wall break after a long range combo. Despite the slower startup, we have adjusted other aspects to minimize on the block aerial hit stop, active frames, and launch. Extended the time until Eddie is able to act. This makes it more likely for Eddie to be destroyed by the opponent punishing a block unless you choose to use oppose. The opponent still needs to watch out for Eddie. More challenges after the transition mix up now. When canceling Eddie's action Pierce, that's a lot. The latter half of the damage can now be canceled into float. Fix an issue causing. Okay, so there's new tools for him to go into float. Pierce, active frames, initial hit change. They've been doubled. Startup the second hit change from 31 to 33. Along with this, Eddie's total duration has changed from 56 to 58. Damage change from 23 to 18. Hit stop on block for the initial hit change from 6 frames to 8. Increased launch height at the ground when initial hit lands in the air. That's a lot. Damage change. Damage of the second hit change from 24 to 19. Damage of the second hit leap. Damage nerfs to him. Damage nerf. Float no longer consumes the Eddie life gauge during activation. Ooh, good. Input buffer for launching Eddie has been made 5 frames earlier. Increased movement speed with launch with K. Forward. Reduced. Bunch of adjustments to this. Invite Hell. Projectile now does not extend past the corner. So now you can actually use it when the opponent's cornered. Nice. Startup change from 18 to 16. Active frames change from 32 to 34. Recovery change from 51 to 49. Since the startup is faster, no change to the frame advantage on block. No more throw invincibility on Damn Fang. Drunkard Shade. Decreased launch height on counter hit. Increased Eddie's recovery by 3 frames. And Sun Void Ground. Recovery change from 61 to 65. Change frame advantage at point block. Change from +2 to -2. Wow, you don't get to force your turn with dropping that. Interesting. We'll have to see what you can do with the float changes. But, I don't think it's too bad for him. Ram. Low profile dealt with close slash. Pretty much same. Reduced downward hitbox of the Great Sword. Reduced downward hitbox and hurtbox of standing heavy slash. Reduce horizontal blowback. Sweep. Recovery change from 34 to 30. It's better. Frame advantage. So it's safe on block. She has a safe on block sweep. That's kind of crazy. Jumping kick. Decreased launch height on air hit. Jumping heavy slash. Land recovery. Change from 9 to 6 frames. So it's better. Start of the Great Sword attack change from 20 frames to 15. Wow, it's faster? She throws the sword faster. Reduced knockback of the Great Sword. Increased since the startup is faster, no change. Delayed start of the explosion attack by 25 frames. Grounded opponents can no longer tech on landing. Reduce horizontal blowback of the Great Sword. Remove wall bounce effect of the Great Sword attack. Oh, damn. Okay. You can use it for a knockdown, but can no longer work mid-combo. However, the sword easy to perform with Okizeme. So they're kind of reworking it. Heavy slash, decrease launch height of the Great Sword attack. Daro, reduce horizontal blowback, decrease launch height. Solo de Trio, startup change from 22 to 21. Damage when holding 2 Great Swords. Changed. Reduced. Remove wall bounce effect. First hit of the Rekka, decrease launch height on air hit. Reduce card restoration. Frame advantage on block change from -2 to -8, so it's punishable. Wow, okay. Of the enhanced version. Weird. Ondo's startup change from 28 to 27, so it's faster. Recovery reduced. Attack level change from 2 to 1, so it's not as good. Frame advantage on block change from -4 to -3. Still safe. Strength and vacuum effect. Decreased launch height. Some small nerfs to her. Means more chance to put elements that carry into the corner and trigger wall break. Yeah, they're really trying to slow down the game. Leo. Yeah, you can now jump out of this, and we all lost our minds. Do some knockback on Turbulence. Possible return to neutral safely by backdashing after it was blocked. Now leads you closer, making it easier for the opponent to punish. Eisensturm. It was previously possible to enter the stance by making the opponent block the active frames of Turbulence after a hit. The active frames are no longer hit melee. Or as additional horizontal movement, make it possible to continue Okizeme afterwards with close slash. More challenge to enter stance mid combo. Jesus. Really? Change the timing on the upper hitbox. No longer launches the opponent on ground hit. Wow. 4 to 3. Frame advantage on block. It's worse. Sweep. Made it harder to carry momentum. Reduced forward movement speed. Oh, that move is not a great poke anymore, huh? Faster charges. Eisenstorm. Counter hit effect. Land and recovery increased. Very much in line with DPs. Fix an issue causing recovery become longer under certain conditions. Reduced knockback on block, increased knockback on hit. So yeah, if you block it, you might be able to actually get him. Can now be canceled on the jump, can now be canceled. Recovery change from 37 to 40. If the damage is not changed, the recovery is now reduced by 3 frames. Ground opponents can no longer tech on landing. Reduce horizontal blowback, decrease launch height. This DP is the same. Nago. As the blood gauge rises, triggering blood rage. His new move is a low range, serves the managing. He's set to blood level 3, increase or decrease for a set. Engage during the effective time. It can be highly rewarding. All of his heavies recover more when blocked. Makes it easier to recover blood gauge even after reaching level 3 when your special moves are restricted. Change works well with Yukimoto, which puts you in level 3 upon activation. Adjusted his defense values. The blood gauge rises, reducing the damage taken. So he's tankier, reduced when level 3 compared to before. Blood Rage now has longer active frames, making Nagoriyuki lose more health. Wow, okay. Increase the risk if you cannot manage the gauge. Regarding the blood gauge, now recovers less the gauge on hit, making more likely to trigger blood rage. Yeah. Defense value changed from 1.01 to 0.9, reducing damage taken. When it's at level 3, change from 1.1, reducing damage taken. So he's not as squishy as he was before. Close standing slash can now be jump canceled upon touching the opponent. You can jump cancel it? That means you can use it for burst baiting. Wow. Standing heavy, startup change from 18 to 16 when blood gauge is at level 2. Increase blood, increase blood, increase blood. Recovery, reduce wall break value gain, command normal, 5S, level 4. Blood rage, activation no longer be delayed, can no longer be delayed. Reduce the depleting speed of the blood gauge so you lose more health. Yukimoyo added. Blood-sucking universe, remove throw. Previously, the blood gauge continued to decrease over a set period, but going forward, the blood gauge will decrease by a fixed amount instantly. So, yeah, basically, instead of it decreasing and you have like some time of like infinite blood gauge spam, you get rid of it and then you immediately start building up blood again. Interesting. I feel like Nagoriyuki got well off. Giovanna, minor changes. Now maintains the enhanced state for a set duration once the attention gauge reaches 50 and 100% marks. No longer immediately loses the power up, even if she uses attention gauge with something like Roman cancel right after passing the mark. Now moves forward slightly during crouching S, makes it power falls low for mid range and neutral, as well as more consistent combo into crouching heavy slash. Expanded the upper hitbox and decrease the aerial hurtbox of soul. Makes it work better as an anti-air. Decrease the recovery Sepultura, making it no longer punishable on block. In exchange, your normal moves cause less knockback. Closer distance of block, and more likely to lose a turn on offense. Block a whiff, disadvantage block. As well, chemical love, well, okay. As they were lower than the standard, along with this, hurt box special are also expanded upward, so Giovanna isn't as small as she was before. Enhanced state is now maintained for a set period, even if the contingent gauge drop below the 50 after entering it. That's cool, because now, yeah, that's cool. I like that change to enhanced state. That is a very cool change. 5-frame jab, close slash, expand a hitbox and hurtbox forward. Cool. Crouching S now moves forward during the action. Diabolical. Increase the launch height of the initial hit on air hit. Crouching heavy, expand a hitbox and hurtbox forward during the second half of the active frames. Jumping dust, start up at the second hit change from 17 to 15. Sepultura recovery reduced by 1, so it's universally safe. Reduced knockback on block. Powered up. Also, it's -4, so it's universally like that. Reduce hit stop applied to the opponent on block. Sol Nascente, expanded hitbox upward during start, frame 7 to 8. Backward during the second half, reduced. Yep, after a super, very much the same. Tempest stayed, so this is her aerial super. Made it easier with attack during the sim-active hit when transitioning. Recovery on block or whiff change from 10 frames to 18 frames. Increased knockback. We'll have to see how that actually affects her, but it might not be a, let me just force my turn, rather it might be a reset to neutral with a slight disadvantage. Well, it is getting way too late, and I have so many more characters to go. So tell you what, y'all, you're going to see the rest of this video when I merge two files together tomorrow. All right, well, hello again, y'all. I'm back reading the patch notes. It's a day later for me. I've read a few things here and there while I was at work, but let's just keep going down in order. Anji adjusted Fujin to function more simply, with the follow-up moves powering up when the button is held. Crouching heavy slash now moves forward, making it easier to apply offensive pressure with. On the other hand, we have adjusted his moves to limit his combo potential mid-screen. We have also added special damage proration when Suigetsu no Hakobi hits to prevent it leading into excessive damage. Fujin can no longer be cancelled into Fujin, Ko, or Suigetsu no Hakobi when charged. So he's losing cancels. Follow-ups now have enhanced properties after the charged version. We have also revised the properties of the follow-up moves after the standard version of Fujin. The follow-up moves after the standard version. Okay, so yeah, they, I mean, very much in line with everything else. They're reworking them. Reduce the launch height of Nagiha on hit, that's as low, making it no longer possible to land a highly damaging attack afterwards. The enhanced version causes additional knockback, making it harder for the opponent to punish it on block. So you can charge it, go low, keep yourself safe. We'll see what combos he can get. Opponent will now attack after Rin hits, meaning Okizeme with close slash is no longer possible afterwards. So Rin is the overhead, if I remember correctly. So it was a hard knockdown before, and now it's just like overhead reset kind of thing. Hand's version of Rin causes ground bounce on hit, making it possible to continue attacking if you use Roman cancel. Okay. Crouching heavy slash now moves forward and causes less knockback. Leads Anji closer to the opponent block, making it easy to pressure the opponent with options other than Fujin. Changes Nagiha and Ko, make it hard to perform combos from mid-screen with major corner carry that lead to wall break. Suigetsu apply special damage duration after enduring an attack, decreasing the damage of combos started afterwards for a set duration. It was common to start a combo with close slash, which led to very high benefits. Damage duration prevents such situation. Yeah, and that's his little parry stance. His crouching kick is faster, 1 frame faster. Increase horizontal blowback on air hit. Maybe that will mess with combos. Close standing slash. Change attack hitboxes above a certain height into follow-up hitboxes. Yep, crouch slash expanded hurtbox upward, so it's less of a low profile. Blowback, decrease launch height after ground bounce. So should be, maybe you won't get as good of a link. Crouching heavy slash now moves forward during the action. Reduce knockback. And no longer launches the opponent on ground hit. Interesting. Jumping dust, reduce horizontal blowback after wall bounce. Yeah, so they don't bounce as far. Decrease launch height after wall bounce, so you get worse combos with his jump dust. Fujin, hold, can no longer be canceled. Into that, Ko, Suigetsu no Hakabi. Added stagger effect on hit. Follow-up attacks, Nagiha, Rin, and Hari Ichishiki are now enhanced. Nagiha S during Virgin, decreased launch height, Rin, recovery changed by 2, so it's now -7 instead of -9. Will now tech, reduce horizontal blowback. Ko, increased vertical combo blowback scaling for the second hit. Suigetsu no Hakobi, special damage applied for 60 frames after withstanding an attack. Midare damage change from 60 to 40. And then duration of withstanding attacks changed from, he lost 2 frames of active, and recovery changed from 40 to 46, and can no longer be Roman canceled. Sizable nerfs to Anji, but it's in line with everything else that we've seen in the patch. That's sort of like the weird thing. So I retweeted something that SQ had stated today. Oh my god, they made my character unplayable. Like, they've nerfed them in this patch where they've nerfed every single other character. They've literally, this is what they've changed. Like, I now have consequences for my mistakes. I need to be right more than once to win the round. That's it. That's all the changes. Terrible patch. And that's sort of like the vibe I'm getting. Like, everyone's sort of looking at this in a vacuum. It's like, yeah, if they just did this to your character in the currently existing game, probably trash. But, like, the whole game is shifting. We don't know how good things are going to be until we get there. And it seems like a lot of things are just weaker. That's a point I want to make anyway. Ino, we have adjusted her air dash to add further variation to her jump-ins, Okizeme and more. Standing heavy slashes faster startup. Her pokes with S attacks can lead into higher rewards. On the other hand, it is now harder to extend her combos due to the adjusted blowback from such moves like Aerial Chemical Love and Mad Love Agitado. K and S version solely performance can be punished more easily on block and provide less reward on hit. Canceling her air dash and another action, inputting down or up will cause slight movement in the corresponding direction. Inputting up and jumping heavy slash during an action makes it an effective long-range poke. Inputting down and jumping B can let her land super fast. Her standing heavy slash is faster startup, making possible combo into far slash or crouching S regardless of the opponent's state. That's nice. I kind of mentioned this in like my previous Eno patch video, where it was still finicky. We have also adjusted the blowback, making it possible to then combo to the heavy slash version of Stroke the Big Tree to score a knockdown. Nice. So you're able to do that. Improves your neutral game by providing better wards off of her smaller poke hits. However, no longer combos into Mad Love Agitata, making it hard to create highly potent combos. Adjusted the blowback of the aerial version of Chemical Love to make it harder to use in combos. Made the same change to Mad Love Agitata. We have toned these moves down as the potential carry into the corner trigger wall break off of various combo starters was too powerful for an Okizeme-centric character. Again, like, they're introducing weaknesses. It's like, okay, she's supposed to play like this, where she's constantly like Milia looping you, but then, you know, she had, you know, combo potential craziness, right? Like, they're trying to add flavor to the characters and, you know, have them play certain niches in certain ways. And I think I'm for that. Air dash, movement distance changes when inputting up or down at the end. Increase forward movement speed at the end of the animation. Air backdash also has a similar change, except without the increased animation at the end of it. 6P, so it's worse. Crouching kick, expanded hurtbox upward. Change attack hitboxes above a certain height into follow-up hitboxes. Yep. She lost her low profile. Crouching kick. Standing heavy, 1 frame faster. Decreased launch height after ground bounce on ground hit. That's to affect the combos we talked about. Crouching heavy slash, extended hurtbox upward. So again, why not low profile some things? 6 heavy slash, recovery change from 19 frames to 15 frames. Frame advantage of block change from -8 to -4. So 6 heavy slashes, safe on block. It is a new stagger option for her. Chemical Love, remove wall bounce effect on the mid-air version. And Mad Love Agitata, decrease the launch height. Sultry performance. Remove the mechanic that allowed leaping up with an additional input. Increase knockback on hit for the normal version only. Hold version remains unchanged. Normal version only no longer launches the opponent on ground hit, causes a crouching hit stun state instead. Reduce horizontal blowback for the normal version. The hold version remains unchanged. Interesting. That's the kick. For slash, increase knockback, hold. Okay, all these sort of have like the same change. Can now leap up with additional input only on the final hit of the heavy slash version. Megalomania, timing for throw invincibility now matches the attack startup. Ultimate Fortissimo. Fortissimo. Yeah, Fortissimo. I wanted to add an extra like Oso or something for no reason, really. Characters in counter hit state to the end can no longer roam and cancel. Land recovery change from 0 frames to 9. Reduced applied gravity. Reduced knockback of the projectile. Remove guard crush effect of the projectile. Frame advantage on block change from +31 to -17. This is like now an honest to God reversal. Not a reversal that, or even like a mix-up option, because, you know, Enos, they would go into like an instant hover and then ultimate Fortissimo as like an overhead to very quickly confirm. And if you blocked it, then you were like instantly mixed again. So they're getting rid of that utility for it. Gold Lewis Dickinson. We're on to the DLC characters now. We've improved the utility of his normal moves to improve his maneuverability in neutral. He does need a few of those improvements because he did lose White Wild Assault. On the other hand, we've toned down his action, utilizing Behemoth Typhoon and the security gauge to limit his power once he is on the offensive. I like the sound of this. Extended the active frames of Far S and made it more affected by momentum. Attack will now reach farther when performed out of a dash. Made the same adjustments to Crouching Kick, giving him access to a low attack after dashing. We removed the frontal hurtbox of Crouching S, making a very powerful counter poke. Ugh. We have decreased the startup of Standing Heavy Slash and decreased the knockback. It can now combo off of Far Slash, increasing its utility. Okay. His normals sound better. All versions of Behemoth Typhoon deal less damage and trigger heavier damage per ration. Oh my god. They're actually doing this? But how much is it? Until we get our hands on numbers. This makes it harder for him to deal major damage than before. It also costs 100% of the security gauge to cancel into another Behemoth Typhoon after Behemoth Typhoon. You get 1 cancel now. You don't get 3 or 2, whatever it was. You get 1 cancel now. And it's all of your security gauge. That is a huge nerf. We also adjusted the blowback for some variations of Behemoth Typhoon, limiting the reward off of mix-up. We have increased the minimum number of projectiles fired by Skyfish, so he has to commit to it longer, meaning there's more recovery. Additionally, decreased the duration of the move overall. Yep. It reduced the active frames of Thunderbird when above level 2. While it was still a strong strategy to approach with the projectiles as shield, it is now hard to pull off when the opponent has space to back away. Let's see by how much. 6p. Yep, so his upper hurt box is smaller a frame later. Made it easier to carry momentum on crouching kick. Active frames, it's doubled now. Wow. Close standing slash. Yep, it's just the follow-up hitbox thing. Far standing slash. Made it easier to carry momentum. Active frames changed from 3 to 5. Reduce horizontal blowback on air hit. Increase launch height on air hit. Change hit stun state on air hit. Okay, that'll be interesting to compare. Crouching slash. Remove forward and upward hurt boxes, so it's a better disjoint. Standing heavy slash. Startup change from 19 to 14, 5 frames faster. Recovery changed from 15 to 23. Frame advantage on block changed from -2 to -10, so it's not a good stagger tool anymore. But, you know, in return, it's a better combo tool. Now launch the opponent on counter hit. Ooh. Behemoth Typhoon, damage change from 80 to 70. Security usage when transitioning changed from 50 to 100%. So you have to get that far to do it, and you go from 2 cancels to 1. Decreased launch height to the ground bounce during the second half of the active frames on the ground. And then the same thing with that one. Thunderbird. Wow, these are some substantial Thunderbird nerfs. Active frames at security level 2 change from 114 to 74. It's about 40 frames, almost a second. Yeah, 40 frames. And it's the same thing with the security level 3. Strill triggers through. Skyfish. Changed from 3 to 12. That they quadrupled the minimum animation. Total duration changed from 59 frames to 86. So it gained 17 more frames in total. And same thing with this down the system. Very universal stuff. I'm vibing with it. Plus, he's also affected by counter hit shenanigans. We'll see how his damage goes. They said damage proration, but they don't list it here. Deal let trigger heavier damage proration. They don't properly list that. But we'll have to just compare combos and see what happens, right? Jacko. We have added trajectory options for throw servant to make it possible to send servants forward a trajectory that is harder for the opponent to hit. Interesting. Excuse me, I think I'm having my allergies kick up. We've also reassessed the servant gauge cost of countdown, expanding options for strings and combos. There are now new uses for 6 heavy slash, which is very situation specific before. It can better extend offense on hit. On the other hand, her formerly low profile moves, crouching kick and sweep, are less potent now, making it harder for her to gain an advantage neutral when she has no servants out. Holding input for throwing the servant, you can throw the servant upwards. This makes it possible to throw the servant behind the opponent, allowing you to go on the offensive. The opponent tries to counter your servant. I like more interactions. Countdown no longer expands the servant gauge when the attack expends. You can set up a new servant while making the opponent block the explosion, making it more useful in strings and combos. More buffs to explosion. They really want us to use explosion. Second hit of 6 heavy slash now triggers a hard knockdown, preventing the opponent from teching. Using it as a final hit in a combo will make it easier to set up your offense as the opponent wakes up. However, it creates distance between yourself and the opponent, meaning you need to choose what to use depending on your remaining servant gauge and the positioning of any servants. Her hurt box during crouching kick no longer enters a shorter stance due to the universal adjustments. Sweep is also a low stance move and has received damage proration and combo blowback proration adjustments as a low profile lunging move. Reduces the damage of combos and makes it harder to launch the opponent. Crouching kick. Expanded hurt box upwards. Close standing slash. Same change that we've seen with other close slashes. Far S. Reduced knockback on hit. Standing heavy slash added a hurt box to the front of the second hit. So it's not a disjoint. 6 heavy slash. Ground opponents can no longer attack on landing from the second hit. Grounded, not air opponents, it seems. Pick up servant. Fixed an issue. Throw servant. Holding the button now changes the directory. Startup is framed from slower and held compared to the normal version. Countdown. Servant now disappears if Jacko enters a hit stun state. So if you hit Jacko, she loses the countdown. Fair. Very common thing. No longer consumes the servant gauge upon startup. And then Elysian Driver, very similar changes. Also lost some damage. Happy Chaos. So I've heard a few things here about the lad, but let's see what they've actually done to him, you know? Previously, Happy Chaos was able to fire from his stance instantaneously without any recovery, allowing him to highly benefit from long pokes and fast jabs. Since he was able to deal damage and replenish his resources simultaneously, it was easy for him to continue neutral without leaving himself vulnerable. We have determined that it would be challenging to address the fundamental cause of this issue by only adjusting parameters and have made major changes to overhaul mechanics. We removed the heavy slash input at the ready that allowed for fire without any vulnerability, making it only possible to perform with a hitbox and a recovery. It's a move now. It's his when he pulls out the gun. This makes it no longer possible to transition into combos directly after hitting with pokes or jabs when the gun is not readied. We have changed how the reticle functions so that it's no longer possible to fire until after a certain duration has passed since readying the gun. Wow. So it's not, instant fire away and RNG shot. Like you have to wait for the reticle to track. The stance will also be canceled upon jumping. So that gets rid of his I'm jumping in the air and got it locked on you. So it's a grounded only option as well. I read that earlier too. It can be just as powerful as before if you use at the ready in advance and fire once the reticle is lined up, but its neutral now requires additional steps when the gun is not readied. Plus, this also means that instead of him being proactive and swinging out with normals, right, and being able to block, and then, creating scrambles or hit confirms or block strings by button, pull out gun in my recovery and shoot you instantly, right? He now actually needs to cancel into this move, and he actually needs to have opportunities to go into this because he needs to complete the move to then shoot you. So he needs to get the knockdown and then go into gunplay, right? Fire can no longer be used after steady aim until a certain duration passes, like at the ready. So again, takes, he can't just instant fire, so no RNG bullet thingy. However, it becomes possible to fire sooner than at the ready, making it still potent as a poke from long range. It is more challenging to lead in combos afterwards as it launches the opponent to a lower height on hit. Instead, by inputting up or down while firing, it is possible to use projectiles with a delay. They have different effects on hit, opening up new possibilities in using different options for combos or supporting your neutral game utilizing the delay, which is a cool thing. These are the portal shots, and you do that by up or down. Reload now always loads 6 bullets with an extended total action time to match. So basically, instead of him sneaking in a cheeky bullet refill, he needs a set duration to reload all of his bullets. It now requires taking a corresponding risk to use it to cancel recovery of a normal move or fire like before. Deus Ex Machina no longer reloads bullets, guaranteeing that the player will need to let down their offense at times due to exhausting their resources. Because the thing with Happy Chaos was he just got to constantly cycle because Deus Ex Machina reloaded the gun. Curse now is an attack hitbox and functions as a projectile. However, the hitbox disappears once it hits ground, giving it limited range. It can be used as a poke or to cover for the time after entering the stance before it is possible to shoot. Curse now increases the damage of fire after touching the opponent, so it doesn't affect your tracking or anything like that, it just increases damage taken. Cool. No longer decreases the time needed for the reticle to close in as it did before. Good God. Oh man, this is peak. Absolutely peak. When using Scapegoat, the clone now takes an attack instead of Chaos. So they're reverting how they've tried to change Scapegoat because some of the things they've done over the years has been making Scapegoat worse so that, okay, it's not as good as a counterplay thing and give it new identities. And it just didn't work because they never bothered to address the issues of the character until now. However, the hit stop will be shorter when an attack hits the clone, making it challenging to punish the opponent after their attack. Noted. These changes require a strategy based on replenishing resources by using steady aim from long range and then approaching with the ready stance active to transition into close range mix-up. This makes careful planning to control the flow of the match even more crucial than before. Standing kick, reduced vertical combo blowback scaling, so it's better in combos. Expanded hurt box upward on crouching kick, no more low profile. 6K now launches the opponent on ground hit. Wow, that means you start dealing with worse combo routing, I think, because they're not grounded. You just can't keep them strung up forever. Close standing slash. Yeah. Launches the opponent on ground hit for far standing slash. Crouching slash recovery change from 24 to 18. Frame advantage block change from -13 to -7. So they're reverting that nerf. Which again, I pointed out this out in my video. It's it was pointless to increase the recovery of that move when they didn't address the issue, which was, the whole with gun thing. And now they've addressed that. So yeah, crouching S can be good. It was such a, yeah, you technically nerfed him, but you didn't do shit. Jumping down kick, now activated with jumping heavy slash. Along with this, it can no longer be canceled from jumping punch or jumping kick. So you don't get those extra overheads. Plus he doesn't have the gun with it anymore. Wow. Yeah, because he didn't have a jumping heavy slash before. Wow, that's so weird to think about. Jumping slash added a Gatling option into jumping heavy slash. Activated the previous. That's weird. That's going to be a muscle memory thing for Abbott Chaos players. Ground throw recovery change from 39 to 29 frames, along with blowback adjustments. Frame advantage on hit change from plus 43 to plus 59. So his throw game is better. Reduce horizontal blowback, increase launch height. Concentration. The gun on equipment animation is no longer performed when the concentration gauge is depleted by fire. Interesting. So I guess, burning out of concentration is technically safer. Or you're stuck with the gun out? I'm not sure. At the ready, heavy slash. Change to produce a hitbox similar to the previous quarter circle forward slash, along with its properties completely revised. Attack level, hitback, and blowback. Counter hit effect removed. Vertical proximity requirement. Interesting. I'll have to mess around with that. Reticle. Along with changes to at the ready, the properties have been completely revised. Stance is now canceled while jumping when jumping while holding the gun. Fire can no longer be used until the reticle is focused. Reticle now appears at the opponent's position instead of a random location. Reticle's position no longer moves randomly when performing moves while the reticle is visible. The reticle now tracks the opponent's position at high speed. So it is more consistent. So when he gets the gun out, it is going to be a bit better, right? But he also has to, we'll see how the game flow goes. I think he's going to be better in a few ways, but overall worse. Fire properties now changed by inputting down or up with steady aim. Fire all versions, heavy slash. Input buffer window has been made 5 frames earlier. Remove the mechanic where fire's properties were enhanced by focusing the reticle for a set period. Damage now increased while the curse effect is active. So instead of getting focus shot extra damage, you just get the bonus with curse. Fire. Damage change from 25 to 35. So he does more damage and it tracks better. Note that, y'all. Reduce horizontal blowback on air hit. Increase launch height on air hit. Fire during steady aim. Firing 6 times during the action now transitioned into the at the ready state. Increase horizontal blowback, decrease launch height, reduce vertical combo blowback scaling. Cancel aim. The stance no longer be canceled for a brief period immediately after fire. So you're stuck with that. You're stuck with cancel aim, I think. I'll have to double check that. Reload. It can no longer be canceled midway through the action. Along with this, toleration was changed to 41 frames. Focus recovery is faster now. Roll. Expanded hurt box forward. Reduce front and back hurt boxes. Upward. So it's not as good of a low profile move potentially, but they made it so that it is a smaller hurt box. Interesting. Scapegoat. Backward movement speed is increased. Clone now erases the opponent's hitbox. Hit stop on the clone, attack changed to 5 frames. Previously, the hit stop, depending on the attack, was stood. Move the spawn position of the clone backward. Duration of the clone changed from 180 frames to 90 frames. So this should be fairly similar to how it has been behaved. Curse. Along with the changes at the ready, the specifications have been completely revised. Added a hitbox to the thrown ball so you can block it. Added an effect that increased damage for a set period when the projectile hits. Projectile now disappears upon touching the ground, made it less affected by tension balance. Okay. Recovery changed from 29 frames to 42 frames. Bigger recovery. Reduce the projectile's upward movement speed. Doesn't go as high. Remove the mechanic that restores ammo, but the startup on Deus Ex Machina is 2 frames faster. We will have to see. He's going to be a completely different character, but I think it's for the best. I'm very happy about that, I think. Baiken. We have expanded her options for ground and neutral by making adjustments for crouching slash, crouching heavy slash, and the heavy slash version of Kabari, as she tended to rely on far slash before. Also adjusted crouching P so that it serves a different purpose to standing P. However, we have adjusted the situation on hit for the follow-up after the heavy slash version of Kabari to reduce the opportunities for Okizeme. We have increased the attack level of crouching slash so the combo into crouching heavy slash. That's terrifying and sick. Crouching heavy slash also triggers an untechable hard knockdown like sweep. Okay. Also makes it possible to land a knockdown after hitting with crouching S from neutral. We have adjusted the blowback of crouching heavy slash, making it hard to transition to further combos after it, so it's a knockdown tool. We have decreased the attack level of crouching B, which decreased the knockback on hit, making it easier to connect into 6K. It has 1 frame slower start than the standing P, but can lead into a higher reward. Interesting. Because, yeah, standing P will be 5 frames, and then crouching P will be 6 frames. Thanks to the universal changes. We have expanded the upper hurt box of her standing state as it was lower than other characters. This means a certain move such as Ino's chemical level now hit Baiken in her standing state. So she doesn't just exist and go under some things weirdly. Sped up the startup of the heavy slash version of Kabari. Better utility as a long range poke. As the attack follow-up causes a soft knockdown now, harder to go into Okizeme than before. Yeah, so universally, she has a taller hurt box. 1 frame slower standing P, universal change, recovery, change from 9 to 11, attack level change from 0 to 1, no change to frame advantage on block, reduced knockback. 6P, so her 6P isn't as blessed. Crouching slash, attack level change from 2 to 3, increased knockback. That's a bunch of property change with attack levels. Grounded opponents can no longer attack on landing, decrease the launch height, expanded proximity requirement forward. Kabari slash, recovery change from 15 to 14. Frame advantage on hit change from +6 to +7, and frame advantage on block change from +3 to +4. Okay, might be something there. Reduced downward hitbox. Heavy slash, startup change by 2 frames. It's 2 frames faster. The follow-up, no longer tech. Opponent will now tech on landing. Less horizontal blowback. Yozansen, reduced downward hurtbox during startup. Oh, reduced downward? Can you not mash on it low? We'll have to see what that does. Hiragi. Hiragi can no longer be activated during deflect shield. That was wrong. Recovery change from 26 to 33 frames. Increase recovery by 7 when transitioning to the cinematic after withstanding attack at close range. Frame advantage on hit change from +25 to +7. Again, if you're successful with your reversal, less Oki. If the animation does not transition, the recovery is now reduced by 7 frames. Damage change from 100 to 60. Increase horizontal blowback, decrease launch height after ground bounce. The character is in a counter hit state until the end of recovery, can no longer roam and cancel. Everything is very much in line with the system stuff. Okay, I'm back. I did a quick pause for myself just because I really had to get some allergy meds because this beautiful cat of my girlfriend's is royally messing me up, nostrily speaking. Testament. I've heard a lot of people dooming on this character, but we'll have to see. Improve their potential from long range by changing how Unholy Diver and Stain function. On the other hand, we have limited their power at close range. We've sped up the startup of Unholy Diver to make it easier to hit the opponent. So it's faster, the bird is faster. However, by increasing the recovery and decreasing the attack level, it makes it harder to gain advantage when it is blocked at close range. Stain can now be applied up to 2 times. Connecting with the attack against the opponent when it has been applied twice causes the explosion to trigger twice, greatly increasing the time to continue to combo or the advantage upon block. On the other hand, we reduce the properties when only 1 is applied. It keeps the opponent locked down for less time, making combo timing stricter on hit. Changes to Unholy Diver make it easier to apply Stain, making a powerful strategy to focus on long-range neutral until Stain is applied twice before launching a close-range offensive. Stormy, come here. Sorry if you can hear her screaming and hollering. She is just an attention, she's thirsty for it. We have increased the recovery of the heavy slash version of Grey Reaper and adjusted the blowback and hit to launch the opponent lower. It no longer gives Testament an advantage when the input is not held, making it harder to follow up on hit. Makes it hard to maintain an offense at close range, either approaching when the opponent is not in stained state. So they're really kind of doubling down on Testament's game plan being they need to apply Stain, right? But they also need to do like 2 applications, weirdly enough. Crouching kick, expanded hurtbox upwards, so no low profiling. Same change with close standing slash. Jumping K, active frames change from 3 to 6. Better air-to-air, lingering hitbox. When applying Stain to an opponent already in the Stain, up to 2 Stains can now be applied. Animation no longer stops during Super Flash up to a certain point in the animation. Adjustment aims to reduce the occurrence of continuous hits failing when a red Roman cancel is activated during the counter hit effect. Okay. Hit stop change from 14 to 7. So yeah, you need 2 of them to work. Decrease launch height. Grey Reaper recovery changed, so it's got 4 more frames. So frame advantage on block change from +2 to -2. Yeah, because why could this zoner also have a plus on block move? Increase launch height, horizontal blowback, reduce projectiles launch height. See how all that comes together. Grave Reaper, ground heavy slash, max hold, reduce the projectiles horizontal blowback. Unholy Diver, startup change from 21 to 16, attack level change from 2 to 0. Recovery change from 39 to 42. Frame advantage of block for the first active frame change from +1 to -12. For the first active frame, so this is like point blank range. The opponent will now tech upon landing. It's not a hard knockdown anymore. Fair. Reduce horizontal blowback on air hit. Increase launch height on air hit. So yeah, Testament is going to need to do other knockdowns. This is very weird. Nostrovia. Increase projectiles movement speed. The succubuses move faster. Reduce horizontal blowback. And then, yeah, Calamity 1, system mechanic stuff. A lot of... We'll have to see. I mean, yeah, these are all fundamentally nerfs to Testament, but granted, why was this character so good at all ranges, you know? Like, there was no weaknesses to this character, and now it's like, oh, I'm supposed to box out my opponent, and then I could maybe go for some nasty mix-up stuff, right? Like, there's some weird set play things, but it was very easy to always set those up. And they want to... Well, we'll see what they do with the character going forward as well. But I get why Testament players are kind of dooming a bit. But I think like the overall game theory is going to have to be quite different. But again, it's hard to say because this is a patch where everybody is shifting down in terms of power, right? Bridget. I haven't read anything about her yet. Add a new mechanic to rolling movement, allowing for better developments before placing the yo-yo. In exchange, the grounded S version of Stop and Dash and Kickstart My Heart are now weaker, making it harder to create situations where her offense can be greatly extended. She can now perform rolling movement even when the yo-yo is not set up. So she's just always rolling around at you? Makes it possible to rise slightly in the same position and perform an aerial action functionally similar to a jump cancel. This version of rolling movement has no attack hitbox and can only be used while on the ground. Command Normal 4, follow-up attack after close slash or crouching slash, no longer sends the opponent flying back far on hit. Kickstart My Heart and the heavy slash version of Stop and Dash hit as a combo off of it now, making it easier to maintain offense after Command Normal 5, follow-up attack after standing heavy slash or crouching heavy slash. Meow! Get over here! We have increased the recovery of the grounded S version of Stop and Dash. This makes it impossible to create an advantageous situation when the opponent blocks it at mid-range, meaning it is more challenging to maintain offense in the corner. Requires her to vary neutral with different yo-yo setup options using rolling movement. I've also increased the recovery for Kickstart My Heart. Adjustment makes it so the bridge will not have an advantage even when the opponent blocks the active frames. Okay, toning her down quite a bit, it seems. This is Cat. Oh, God. Oh, God. You gonna behave? All right. Yeah. Come read patch notes with Dad. Okay. Crouching P is reduced knockback, 6k, increased knockback, and more forward movement speed. Close standing, that's the universal change. Reduce horizontal blowback on Command Normal 4. More launch height, increased vertical combo, blowback scaling change. Hit stun state, removed wall bounce effect. Stop and dash, recovery change, increased by 8, so it's now negative 12 on block at point blank range. So yeah, I mean, it would have been like universally safe before, and now it's like going to be fairly punishable unless you space it appropriately, which we'll have to see how that looks. Rolling movement ground can now be activated on the ground even when the yo-yo is not deployed. Performs a small leap when doing so. Starship, counter hit effect removed. Landing recovery change. Yeah, universal DP nerfs. Increased launch height of the final hit. Kickstart My Heart. Recovery change from 9 to 16. Frame advantage block change from negative 20 to negative 27. I remember some of her moves. All right, well, now I'm curious about Sin, because Sin was someone who was very strong thanks to Wild Assault. We have reassessed the properties of Still Growing to make it possible to play aggressively using stamina often. In exchange, we have reduced the strength of actions that cost stamina to prevent its combos from dealing excessive damage. Still Growing no longer provides random power-ups, instead increasing the stamina gain for a rate of durate. Like, beautiful, perfect. Like, that's what I always thought the move should have been. It's like, why doesn't this interact with stamina? Why isn't this random roulette bullshit? Like, why is Sin Kisuke a RNG character? Now now your game plan is, oh, I use my stamina. Let's eat food to restore it. Like, that's so Rev 2. That is so a Rev 2 thing. I mess with it hard. It also reduces the cooldown time before you can gain more stamina that occurs after using stamina. Beautiful. It's now part of his core game plan. He has a reason to use this move. Thank you. By using it in lulls during neutral or after scoring a knockdown, you increase your opportunities to perform powerful actions using stamina afterwards. I love it already. While he can gain more stamina now, each action that costs stamina is less powerful. Adjusted the blowback for the follow-up after Beak Driver mean you can no longer land additional attacks after Gazelle's step. So yeah, because one thing is like you could do Beak Driver, dash up, and get confirms, and now that's just not a thing. You just get Oki after that poke. Follow-up after Hoof Stomp no longer triggers wall bounce, making it no longer possible to land additional attacks without using tension gauge. That's his overhead. Elcon and the follow-up attacks that receive the damage and combo blowback duration applied to low-profile lunging moves, reducing damage and combos in the height of its launch. It is possible to trigger wall break with Alt RTL by changing directions even when it was activated while Sin was in the corner. As this meant the reward was exceptionally great for an invincible reversal, we removed the invincibility with these adjustments. That is so smart. That is so smart. Based. Absolutely based. Close standing slash has the same changes. Standing heavy slash. Recovery change from 18 to 17. Frame advantage. It's only -1 on block. Ooh, that's spooky. 6 heavy slash. Increased forward movement speed. Increased horizontal blowback on air hit. Beak Driver. Added stagger effect on counter hit. Okay. Oh, so maybe if you get a stagger, you can run up and get hit confirms differently with counter hits. Beak Driver follow-up, increased horizontal blowback, reduced tumble duration. Hawk Baker, this is DP, can no longer be canceled into follow-up actions when used as a combo starter. Pretty sure that was the case before. Let's see. Counter hit effect remove, recovery. Yeah, very universal stuff. Fix an issue causing the opponent to be launched as if hit during combo while hitting the opponent in guard crush. Now launches the opponent on ground hit with the second hit. Increased launch height after ground bounce of the second hit. Expanded hurt box downward from the end of the initial active frames at the start of the second hit. And then it's follow-up. Reduce knockback, increase forward movement speed, reduce horizontal blowback, and decrease launch height. Hoof Stomp follow-up, S during Hoof Stomp. Remove wall bounce effect. Elk Hunt follow-up, K during Elk Hunt. Fix an issue causing the opponent to be launched as if hit during a combo when hitting an opponent in guard crush. Still growing. Remove the mechanic where a stat was randomly increased. Add an effect that accelerates stamina recovery. Add an effect that reduces the cooldown during when stamina does not recover. Recovery change from 49 to 40 frames. RTL, remove strike and throw invincibility. Tension gauge is now spent on the first frame of startup, just like the other supers. Can no longer be canceled into follow-up actions on block. Tyrant Barrel now nullifies knockback applied to himself. As he's no longer affected by backward knockback near the corner, stage corner is now easier to connect hits from max range pokes. Interesting. Doesn't give his car cancels with it back or anything like that, but we'll see. Great changes to Sin, honestly. And again, people are like, oh my god, he's nerfed, but he makes more thematic sense now. Like this feels like a continuation of what Sid was doing in Rev 2 with how his still growing interacts with stamina. Like, beautiful, perfect. And now we just have to see like how strong he is. Again, like there are nerfs, but everyone is getting nerfed. So we will see where the relative power lies. Bedman is next. We've expanded its options for neutral and strings, making use of Error 6E by making adjustments to the rarely used call and call 4B3, which is rarely used outside of combos. On the other hand, we have toned down jumping S, which was highly potent and neutral, and jumping dust, which was challenging to counter while offering high reward, limiting its ability to approach the opponent without Error 6E active. Call now powers up to currently active Error 6E effect. The follow-up attack trigger is more powerful than standard, while not as potent as Call 4CC. By using it during lulls and neutral or after scoring a knockdown with 6 heavy slash, you can apply formidable pressure. Call 4B3 can now be held to halt the action midway through. Makes it possible to activate Error 6E with only a short action, allowing you to maintain Error 6E outside of combo situations. Cool. Reduce the horizontal hitbox of jumping S, reducing its ability to draw the opponent in. This makes it harder to enter close slash range after it is blocked, reducing its ability to maintain offense. Jumping dust can no longer be canceled with a jump or command movement. That's a nerf and a half. This means you will lose your turn on the offense if it is blocked without Era 6E active, making it more challenging to extend pressure while performing mix-up. Now, that is the case, but you also are able to more freely activate Era 6E. We have also adjusted the launch on hit, making it possible to connect into crouching P, then call for B3 on hit. Interesting. 6P. 6P nerf. Close standing slash same change. Standing heavy, reduce horizontal blowback after ground bounce, increase launch height after ground bounce. Jumping S. Strengthen the vacuum effect and reduce the forward hitbox. I'm told this is a mistranslation. I'm not sure if they fixed it or not. I've read, rather. Jumping dust, remove the ability to jump cancel, remove the ability to cancel in the command movement. Land and recover change from 21 to 16. Reduce horizontal blowback after ground bounce. Call 4BA, all versions. The Era 6E projectile enhanced by Call 13C now disappears if Bedman enters a hit stun state. And Call 4B3, all versions. The animation can now be interrupted with S after startup. When interrupting animation the earliest time, the total duration is reduced by 15 frames. Era 6E projectile enhanced by Call 13C now disappears if Bedman enters a hit stun state. Okay, yeah, so his error projectiles, you can cancel them so he doesn't just hit you and punish you for trading. Delay the timing when he starts falling. Recovery change from 24 to 35. Retained Era 6E is now enhanced. Recovery change from 24 to 35. Call 4 CC character. Yep, it's very standard super stuff. A lot of things I don't quite know just because I don't really know the names of Bedman's moves. We'll see. All right, I heard Asuka is murdered. Let's find out. Asuka excels in explosive dark magic attack power when he sets up his offensive. However, he was able to force the opponent to block for an extended time, and it was very challenging for the opponent to take the turn back if Asuka manages resources effectively. Yeah, one-sided gaming. While we are aware of how highly challenging it is to manage his resources, it became more common to see these situations in high-level matches as player became increasingly advanced. Yes, that is always the problem with high-skill characters that are incredibly oppressive once you unlock that skill, which I think sometimes it's developers don't even get to that state. You know, like your testers and developers who are working on these things and stress testing them, they don't get that good. So they don't see the monsters they've created until, you know, Zondo, for example, comes up and gets their hands on the characters. And then they go, oh shit, what have we done? We've reduced his abilities to replenish mana, making it harder to continue a one-sided offense. In exchange, we made him easier to play by making some spells available at will with command inputs. We remove the versions of Recover Mana that cost Tension Gauge and Health. Those are as fast as regenerating, by the way. Keeping only the version that restored the smallest amount of mana. We have also toned down the effects of spells that reduce mana cost or recovered mana directly while decreasing the amount of these spells in each test case. So yeah, they're going with the approach that they've done before where they hurt his mana regeneration and that like made him unplayable. And now that's coming back, so people are like, oh no. But again, this is taking place in a game where everybody is weaker. We'll see. Also increase the mana cost of spells with attack hitboxes. These changes make it more likely to exhaust all of your mana in matches, thus losing your turn on the offense. It is now possible to cast spells that cost more than your remaining mana, thus willingly entering the exhausted mana state. I like that change. Because you can enter on your terms, right? Bookmark now simultaneously discards and obtains spells. It previously required 2 inputs to manage your spells at hand, but now can perform with 1 input, greatly reducing the time required to manage spells. I like that change. Easier. Makes it easier to approach the character. Down, down punch or down, down kick now performs a new special move, Chant Synthesize. Special move is a spell that will set up a scepter corresponding to the currently selected test case. For example, with test case 1 selected, down, down P shoots up shooting time stretch accelerate, and down, down kick shoots up shooting time stretch decelerate. So now you have consistent staff options you can always access, which again is another buff to him. You don't have to draw those randomly. You could actually generate playstyles with the character that revolve around using his staffs, which I think is cool. Makes it possible to place a scepter at will that will work in synergy with your current spells and mana available. Performing Chant with all spell slots empty now activates a short-range projectile. Ooh. This spell cannot be canceled in another action and causes little blowback on hit, making it challenging to combo with. However, it does not cost any mana and can be used when mana is fully expended, meaning it can be used to cancel moves with extended recovery such as Standing Heavy Slash or Sweep to cover vulnerability regardless of your current mana. Okay, I see you. 6 Heavy Slash was easy to hit confirm while also gets spells on hand and challenging for the opponent to see coming. We have changed it to a mid attack. They took his overhead. Oh my god, the book is not an overhead. Jesus Christ. But spell at the start would give it better utility despite losing its mix-up potential. Is now easier to use as a finisher in combos and triggers a hard knockdown, providing a time to set up an advantageous situation with recover mana or bookmark. Damn. Close standing, same stuff. 4 frames faster. Base scaling is increased, so it does more damage. Decreased combo when used as the first hit. So it's a combo tool now. Test case 1. You only have 1 reduced mana cost in the case. You don't have the staffs anymore. You have 1 more Howling Metatron, 1 more delayed Metatron, 1 more quantity. Okay. Test case 2, high pass. They remove the staffs. Instant mana recover is down to 1. Yeah, so they removed 3 cards, but to keep the test case number the same, they added 1 more of various Metrons. Test case 3. Quantity of bookmark, auto impart, and recover mana continuous. Quantity of Howling Metron, MS processing change from 2 to 3. Delayed TARDIS Metron, RMS boost Metron, chaotic option change from 1 to 2. Okay. I had to look all the spells and whatnot, but yeah, his test cases are reevaluated. Chant all versions. Spells can now be cast even when the mana cost is higher than the remaining amount. When doing so, mana will enter the depleted state. A unique spell is now activated when the slot is empty. This spell cannot be canceled into other actions. Chant Synthesize. Added. Casting requires mana. Duration of all staffs changed from 600 frames to 300 frames, so 5 seconds instead of 10. Casting requires mana. Bookmark, all versions. Discarding acquiring spells is now done in a single motion. The recovery time has been unified to match the original spell acquisition recovery. Yeah, so if you were as fast with it, it's not like you can cycle through things faster. It's just you only need 1 input. Recover mana. Remove the old K version and S version. The old P version now activated with down slash. Reduce mana cost. Duration change from 600 frames to 300 frames. So 5 seconds reduced mana. Damn. Remove Guard Crush effect from affected spells. On Accelerate, which makes sense, deaccelerate, add a Guard. That's a smart change, actually. Because, yeah, it's like, damn, everything is faster, I'm getting Guard Crush. That sucks. Oh, everything is slower, but now I get Guard Crush. I like that change. That makes sense, goddammit. Increase movement speed of affected spells, so they do go a little faster. And you have on-demand Guard Crush, by the way, now, for spells. I want to point that out. Howling Metron, increased mana cost, added a follow-up hitbox to the lower part of the hitbox. Increased mana cost on delayed, follow-up hitbox to the lower part of the hitbox. Increased mana, everything costs more mana. Reduce the number of spell casts required for enhancement. I like the changes again from the sense of interaction. But damn, they really went after him. Johnny. Reassess the properties of the S version of Deal, which was rarely used, improving its ability to apply pressure from neutral. We have also improved the properties of his 6 Heavy Slash and Crouching Slash to make it easier to connect with attacks. We've improved controls for him by reducing the difficulty of certain techniques using dash. In exchange, we adjust the misfind and reduce the benefit on counter hit. Change the trajectory of the card from slash deal, now tossing to a farther position than the K version. As it places the card behind the opponent, it creates situations where the opponent struggles to move away. He has a new tool now. Extended the range of 6 Heavy Slash. That thing already was like full screen. Not quite, but you know. Now launches the opponent on grounded hit, giving you maybe blowback, time to set up, reposition, throw a card. On hit, you can approach with a vault or combo into Joker Trick, opening up great potential reward, then Misfinder on hit. Crouching Slash also has additional range, making it easier to hit the opponent as they attempt to approach while adjusting your spacing. His dash was previously possible to cancel with a jump during startup and can now be canceled into special moves. Previously, this was the technique to cancel the startup of the jump mid-dash into a special move to perform it when added momentum, but this change makes it easy to perform, so they're making him less skill-intensive. Which is fine. Like, I'm okay with that, usually. Like, there's still going to be a thing to manage, but I like it. We'll have to see if there's any other effects of that. Misfinder no longer triggers a slowdown effect on counter hit, reducing the benefit possible on hit. This addresses how powerful it was against opponents with projectiles in particular, because it could delete them. So dash now carries that momentum. Close standing slash changed attack hitboxes above a certain height into follow-up hitboxes. Crouching slash, expanded hitbox forward. Standing heavy slash, reduced knockback. I remember when this feels like, yo, this is a nerf. Like, he just won Evo, we gotta nerf him. I remember when they did that nerf to him, and this is an appropriate reversion because it was comical. Absolutely comical. 6 heavy slash launches on ground hit, increased launch height, expanded the hitbox forward. Missed finer, counter hit effect removed, so you don't get the slowdown effect, I think. The tumble added a follow-up hitbox to the lower part of the hitbox for ground K. Turn up. Fix an issue where the hitbox sometimes did not disappear, even if Johnny entered a hit stun state. Weird. Deal. Change the trajectory of the card. Now throws further than the K version. Yeah, because it was like K, but with a bigger delay to it. And it's like, why? You just do K. That's what everybody did. Insegna made it easier to carry momentum. Active frames changed from 3 to 6. Twice the active frames. Easier to carry momentum. A unique blowback now occurs when hitting during the second half of the active frames. Added a hitbox and hurtbox to the second half of the active frames. So it's like a different move. That's my name. Very universal stuff. Joker trick. Added a follow-up hitbox to the lower part of the hitbox. Make it more combo consistent. I like these changes for Johnny. I'm very curious to see how he plays going forward. He does suffer a lot from Red Wild Assault nerfs, but he is getting some tools back. And it feels like there's different things he's doing in neutral, a lot more choices. All right, Elfelt. This is what I'm curious about. Another thing I'm curious about, I guess. We have added a new mechanic to Miss Charlotte to expand his utility in neutral and strings. It is also easier to use up high as mix-up against opponents who have invincible moves. On the other hand, we have revised the composition of our combos and strings to make it harder to loop her mix-up. We have also toned down our moves that offered high risk with reward with little risk. Miss Charlotte can be held to trigger a second attack hitbox. It performs one hit before the bullet trajectory changes and one hit afterwards. This gives Elfelt a significant advantage if the opponent blocks it at close range, making it great for extending her offense. Oh, interesting. So now you have like the gun. You can hold it to have it come back. We've expanded the upper hitbox of the first hit of up high so that now it will form a gapless block string against all characters when making the block up high after Here I Go. So now you don't just, because the problem with that was if you had a DP, you just fuzzy mash that DP, right? And so if you ever went overhead with Elfelt against a DP character, you just got blown up. And now it's like, oh no, you actually have to block this. Increases her offensive potential as she does not need to count for the opponent using invincible move or backdash to get out. That's sick. Opponent will now tech after they are hit by Nailed It. This makes it challenging to recreate the same situation from an overhead low mix-up so she doesn't get knockdowns. Miss Charlotte, out of repair, ends directly after hitting, meaning the advantage remains the same regardless of the position it hits, so you no longer can space it to be plus or anything. This does hurt it as an Oki tool, I think. Makes it hard to punish any on block from any distance, meaning it works better as a lunging move. However, it creates more distance on hit, making it hard to maintain offense afterwards. We have decreased the movement speed of Bomb Bomb Chocolat, decreasing the forward distance covered. Oh, what the hell? This tones it down as it was a powerful mix-up option and to beat up the opponent's pokes while providing high reward on hit. It no longer works on as a cross-up unless used at a closer distance. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Like, it was kind of doing a lot of things. I'm liking a lot of these changes. Crouching P, 5-framer, 6P, decreased launch height. Interesting. Change the timing. Okay, and also the nerf. Close standing slash and universal change. 6 heavy slash for hurt box downward during startup. So maybe she doesn't dodge some moves. Dodge some mashes. Miss Charlotte, all versions. A projectile with different property now fires when holding the button. When holding, startup is 16 frames slower. Miss Charlotte, out of repair. Recovery change from 10 frames to 17 frames. Now transition recovery when touching the opponent. Frame advantage of block is now consistent -4. Always safe, regardless of whether it is blocked on the ground. Reduce knockback, where it is blocked on the ground. Reduce the knockback, reduce horizontal movement speed when the active frames end. Bomb Bomb Chocolate made it harder to carry momentum, reduce forward movement speed. Here I Go, added stagger effect on hit for Here I Go when following up Here I Go. Startup of Here I Go after Here I Go, change from 20 to 17 frames, so it's faster. Up high, expanded hitbox and hurtbox downward for the initial hit. Nailed It, heavy slash, so her gun. as I remember. Characters and counter hit. Yeah. No, I like all these changes, I think, for her. We'll have to see what you can do with the Miss Charlotte changes and whatnot. There's some nerfs here, but they're creating weaknesses in things. Like Bomb Bomb Chocolate was so good in so many ways. Like it was your mix-up tool that also was great for neutral. And now it's like, no, this is your mix-up tool. Stop using it in neutral. And I mess with that. They're giving identities to the characters, I would argue. ABBA. Now I've heard that ABBA got murdered. Let's see. It was easy to gain jealousy gauge as a result of some moves in her standard state being powerful and leading to high benefit. We have revised the initial jealousy gauge value and structure of her combos to highlight her frailty in the standard state. We have also increased the risk upon exiting Jealous Rage, making it more crucial to manage the jealousy gauge. Standard. We reduced the initial value of the jealousy gauge at round start from 50 to 25%. They cut it in half. Good God. This makes it necessary to gain jealousy gauge from neutral in the standard state before you can achieve the powerful jealous rage state. You just don't have it at round start anymore. Yeesh. Yeesh. Also revised the properties of Standing Heavy Slash, Intertwine, and Tilt, and Medicine Grown to make it harder to transition into highly damaging combos after a Standing Heavy Slash counter hit. We have changed bonding and dissolving to be minus on block and increased the knockback so that it returns the situation to neutral. Damn. This means she needs to use riskier moves such as Haul and Heed in order to maintain offense while in the standard state. Jealous Rage. It is impossible to block during the ending animation when the jealousy gauge is exhausted. Oh, you just punish her now. So if she mismanages it, then you just blow her up. This makes it necessary to strategically use a move with extended block stun if you're unable to safely exit the mode with bonding and dissolving or changing and swaying. When returning the standard state with changing and swaying, some of the jealousy gauge spent is returned. We have decreased the amount of gauge that returns. Previously stored 50%, but this has been decreased to 25%. Wow. Restricts the potency of exiting jealous range with changing and swaying and then transitioning back into jealous range by using changing and swaying. Again, yeah, because you would just loop that to really top yourself off. So they're really slowing that down. Again, they're giving her a lot more weaknesses. We have decreased the advantage of ABBA when the key is king is blocked. It was still easier advantage when blocked, but it's harder to go on the offense when it's blocked at range. Yeah, that's like her tracking super. These changes decrease the opportunities to enter Jealous Rage, so we've improved the utility of some moves in the standard state. She now struggles to finish the match in one fell swoop, requiring a careful strategic approach to switch between modes. Kind of like the fantasy of the character. We have expanded the upper hurt box of her standing state that was lower than other characters. Yeah, so it's the same thing they did to Giovanna. 6P, got the nerf. Crouching P, 5 framers, not 4 framers. Recovery change, so it's -1 on block safer. Universal close standing, far standing standard. Recovery change from 14 frames to 22 frames. -11 on block, increasing the forward movement speed. Okay, damn, you want to cancel that all the time. Crouching standard, follow-up hitbox added. Standing heavy slash. Launches the opponent on ground hit. Reduced horizontal blowback after ground. Decreased launch height of the ground bounce on counter hit. Jumping heavy slash. Startup change from 16 to 24. Active frames change from 4 to 7. Expanded hitbox and hurtbox downward. Jumping heavy slash. Reduced horizontal blowback after ground bounce. Initial value. 10 frame recovery period. So you got a 10 framer, you punish it. No throw invincibility and blocking or Roman cancels are not possible. Activation can no longer be delayed by using faultless defense. Punish text when taking damage during the action. Bonding and dissolving. Startup change from 12 to 14. Reduce guard crush duration. Frame advantage is now -2. Increased knockback on block. So yeah, you just reset to neutral with that. 2 frames slower too. That could affect combos. Grounded opponents can no longer tech on landing after bonding and dissolving midair. Grounded, if you use that, weird, but okay. Change and swing, recovery of what was consumed. Intertwine and Tilt. Recovery change from 13 to 15. Frame advantage and block change from -2 to -4. Decrease launch height after ground bounce. Intertwine and Tilt. Recovery change from 15 to 17. Frame advantage, so it's -4. Still safe. Launch height after ground bounce or ground hit. As recovery is increased, the follow-up input buffer and ground remains unchanged at 8 frames. Decrease launch height at the ground bounce on air hit. Menace and Groan. Decrease launch height on air hit. Restriction and Constraint during Menace and Groan. Reduce Jealousy Gauge recovery amount. Recovery change from 31 to 43. Frame advantage on hit. 12 less frames of advantage. And 12 less frame. Yeah, so that's pretty bad. Restriction and Constraint. Jealous Rage. Same thing. Just increasing recovery on it. Frenzy and Astonishment. At a recovery period where only blocking is possible after withstanding an opponent's attack. Jesus, okay. Previously, this was a fully invincible, making it difficult to predict the outcome of the offense and defense. Going forward, the attack will no longer whiff, making the situation clearer. Startup time required to withstand an opponent's attack change from 7 to 5. Recovery change from 37 to 53. Good God. Keeper of the Key, yeah, 20, significant decrease. Damn, they really went after Abba. But again, the idea of you have to manage the resource, not let me pop this once and win the match before I run out of Jealous State. This is more interesting. It's also harder to play, but it is more interesting. Damn, all right. Slayer! We have improved the feel of his controls by making certain techniques using dash easier. Probably the same thing they did with Johnny. Yep, it's the same thing. Change 6 heavy slash unique properties that make it viable as a new option in offense. Increase the benefit from bump ahead on hit while reducing the mix-up capabilities of its late. We have adjusted the K version of Mappa Hunch that is more likely Slayer loses a turn on block. We have also revised the properties crouching heavy slash to make it less likely to beat up pokes or attempts at intercepting. His dash, yeah, it was the jump cancel thing. Made major revisions to properties 6 heavy slash to give frame advantage on block. Give Slayer when the opponent blocks it crouching, as the active frames are likely to connect, while leaving him at a disadvantage when the opponent blocks it standing. Interesting. Very powerful when used in a situation where low attack options are available, such as after standing kick or close slash. You block in the low, he gets to take his turn again. You block high, he loses the turn. Okay, I like this. I like this. Giving me Tiger Nexus 5 from Street Fighter 6. Adjusted bump ahead to launch higher on hit, making it possible to combo into crouching kick. On the other hand, we have slowed down the startup of its late, making it more likely to be blocked. Makes it more challenging to use mix-up after Danny Step, but offers better rewards when it succeeds. We have increased the recovery of the K version of Mappa Hunch, so now leaves Slayer disadvantage even when the active frames are blocked. Now also triggers additional knockback instead, so that it is harder to punish when outside of point-blank range. Meow! We remove the foot property invincibility from crouching heavy slash. Oh, it doesn't low crush anymore. This tones down the attackers that work very well against low-hitting attacks or attempts at intercepting strings while being highly rewarding. It maintains the same long range, meaning it's still powerful when hitting at maximum range. Okay. Universal change the close slash and the dash that we looked at with Johnny. 6K. Fix an issue where there was no hitbox at his feet upon landing with the charged version. Crouching heavy. Added a hurtbox at his feet during startup. So maybe you can still jump over things, but not as soon. Recovery change from 16 to 13 on 6 heavy. On the first half from 4 to 1. So he's -7. Oh, you can punish him now. +3. Reduce knockback for the first half. Increase knockback on hit for the second half. Reduce knockback on block for the second half. Interesting. Sweep. Added a horizontal proximity requirement. Mappa Hunch. Hitbox on hit. Hit stop. Changed by a frame. Frame advantage on hit change from 0 to +1. Counter hit remains unchanged. So he's continually +1 with the punch version of Mappa Hunch. But K version, it's now always negative. Point blank range, it's punishable. Increase knockback. Dandy Step. Reduce the damage of the follower-up Pyre Bunkle. Added a follow-up hitbox behind the hitbox, so he's going to do less things with it. Reduce horizontal, increase launch height. It's late startup change. Wow, that's way slower. From 13 to 21. Remove throw invincibility from Bloodsucking Universe. Universal change. Hand of Doom while backdashing. As this was a follow move performed for an invincible backdash, adjustments identical to invincible moves have been applied. However, since ability does not persist until startup, the situation on block and other aspects are more favorable than standard invincible moves. Counter hit effect remove. Characters in counter hit state until the end of recovery can no longer roam and cancel. Startup can no longer be canceled into overdrive. Added stagger effect on ground hit. Base damage scaling decreased. I'm sorry, y'all. Increased combo blowback scaling when hitting as the first hit in the combo. Increased wall break value gain. Increased horizontal blowback on hair. And decreased launch height on their hit. Super Mappa Hunch. Remove the mechanic that causes it to hit twice at certain distances. And that's like the clean hit thing. So it just works. RIP. Yeah. You're gonna be like this? You're gonna do this to me all day? Holler and then come over and cuddle and then leave and holler again? Insufferable twat. I love you. All right, Queen Dizzy. We have added a new mechanic to We Talked a Lot Together to expand its utility at neutral and in strings. We have also made jumping heavy slash more viable and easier to connect with the opponent. We have her sweep riskier to whiff. We have made her sweep riskier to whiff. What? You want to go outside? Who's outside? Oh, that door is slightly open. I'll fix it in a second. There is now additional. We have reduced the benefit of the heavy slash version of Michael Sword mid-combo, reducing excessive combo damage. We have changed the situation that the slash version of Michael Sword hits, adjusting so Dizzy struggles to maintain a one-sided advantage. Okay, a few nerfs here and there, but again, everyone's getting nerfed. There's now additional input available after We Talked a Lot Together, which can change the spawn position of the projectile. The S input spawns the projectile behind Dizzy. By placing Dizzy in front of the projectile, it makes it possible to cover for a vulnerability after an attack with the projectile. The heavy slash input spawns the projectile far to the front. It reaches the opponent right away, requiring them to take action to deal with it. We have added a hitbox to the base part of jumping heavy slash, making it easier to hit opponents below. It can now hit a crouching opponent when performed after an aerial dash, making it viable in certain mix-up strings. We've increased the recovery of sweep, provides opportunity for opponent to counter or approach when it whiffs, as at very long range is highly rewarding on counter hit. Opponent will now tech after they are hit by the slash version, so no hard knockdown. Still have time to preset projectiles like We Talked Together or for roasting chestnuts, but it is more challenging to set up Ice Field to launch a powerful neutral offensive. We have slowed down the startup of the heavy slash version of Michael's Sword, adjusting the advantage on block. This makes it harder to extend combos after crouching slash or sweep on counter hit. On the other hand, it leaves her and the opponent even on block at a distance, giving Dizzy the opportunity to use a long range and start again. Highly benefits from the usable adjustments to the tension and burst gauges. So when we talked about the scaling, she no longer fully generates them. Previously, I used it to cast Vision Ice Field's heavy combo blowback operation, suffered from allowing the opponent to charge up their gauges. These adjustments now reduce the amount of gauge the opponent will gain. I called it earlier that this was going to improve that for Dizzy. So now you don't give the opponent a full bar burst. That's amazing. That's huge for her. Crouching P, reduced knockback. 6P has that nerf. Universal change to the close slash, far slash, made it easier to carry momentum, better as a poke. Reduced knockback for all but the final hit, more likely for all hits to connect. Sweep, recovery change from 21 to 27, it's negative 16 on block. Jumping heavy slash, reduced the knockback, added a hitbox and hurtbox downward, so it's better as a jump in normal. I use this to catch fish. Projectile can now be spawned. Weird, they have two different names for this. Now be spawned behind by inputting S during the action, so now the fish will be behind you, so maybe you can set up baits. Can now be spawned to the front by inputting heavy slash. Mikhail Sword, opponent text, add a tumble, frame advantage on hit change, so it lost 16 frames of advantage. Mikhail Sword, 3 frames slower, increased guard crush duration, frame advantage on block change from negative 10 to 0. Very nice change for a neutral. Imperial Ray and Gamma Ray system stuff. Venom had a really good patch last time round. Improve the properties of QV to improve his options after the opponent blocks a poke. We've also revised the angle and strength of the ball rebound after crouching heavy slash and sweep, improving utility during neutral. Adjusted jumping dust so that it's easier to confirm the situation after it, as the situation varies greatly the opponent uses flawless defense. On the other hand, we have increased the recovery of all versions of Stingray, making it easier for opponent to act when it is blocked. Yeah, because he kind of just did that all the time. I've seen the clip. I commentated this set. Adjusted attack level and hit stop of QV when it is held. When fully charged, it leaves Venom at an advantage on block, making it highly effective against opponents who are focused on blocking. Also, it adds additional time for your next attack, increasing the reward when using combos. Adjusted the angle and strength of the ball rebound after crouching heavy slash and sweep. Sweep now rebounds the ball upward, allowing to prevent the opponent from poaching with an aerial dash. The angle of the ball rebound to the crouching heavy slash remains similar to before, now moves with one force, making it ineffective as a poke against opponents in the air at long range. It was previously uncertain where the jumping dust would form a gapless block string with the heavy slash version of Carcass Raid, depending on how the opponent blocked. With these adjustments, change the hit effect of the final hit, make it possible to continue the combo into crouching kick or other moves, even without canceling into the heavy slash version of Carcass Raid. In exchange, we've increased the knockback so that it no longer perform a gapless block string with the heavy slash version of Carcass Raid. Makes it easier to lose its turn when it is blocked. Stinger aim was extremely powerful and fire repeated. Its projectile moves fast and recovers quickly. Extended recovery make it harder to fight repeatedly. Decrease the advantage on hit. Yeah, because that was obnoxious to watch. Change the timing of 6P, close slash, same thing, crouching heavy. 59 to 50 degrees. Increase movement speed of the ball. Startup change from 17 to 15. Startup change on his 6 heavy slash from 21 to 18, 3 frames faster. Sweep, 20 to 75, negative 20 to 75. Reduced movement speed of the deflected ball. Jump dust, fix an issue if he landed. Increased knockback of the final hit. Now launch the opponent on ground hit with the final hit. Follow up input buffer on a hit is 6 frames. Added a proximity requirement, preventing it from hitting opponent located behind the character's own push box. Ball, fix an issue preventing the ball from disappearing, which duration ended up being deflected. QV, lightly hold versions. Our level 3 attacks, hit stop change from 6 to 10. Frame advantage is now 0 on block at point blank range. Ooh. 2 to 4. Plus 3 on block now. Oh, we're cooking now. Stinger, charge time change to 25. Recovery increase, so he's negative 10 on block. Round start position. Same thing with heavy slash version, except it's negative 21 instead. Carcass Raid, charge time is faster, reduce upward hitbox and hurtbox of Carcass Raid, reduce forward and downward hurtboxes of heavy slash Carcass Raid, mid-air Carcass Raid, remove throw invincibility from his super throw. Nice, okay. I'm vibing. Seems like you could do more with the ball. Unica, we have changed the mechanics of 6 heavy slash, which was rarely used, expanding her options for combos and strings. Adjusted weapons free to create more opportunities to use it. Thank you, it's such a cool super. On the other hand, we've lessened the potency of ATDG top attack mid combo to prevent excessive combo damage. 6 heavy slash now produces a short range projectile hitbox. This makes it possible to perform an attack while entering mode Arbalest, creating more powerful offensive options after standing kick or close slash. The sped of the startup of weapons free, extending the travel distance. It can now combo from 6P or far slash, creating many more opportunities to hit with it. Sick. Adjusted the launch on aerial hit of the mode Arbalest Blast version of top attack, making it harder to use mid combo. However, it causes a hard knockdown that cannot be teched on hit, giving more utility as the finisher in a combo. As ACTG Blast Off has 2 hits, it could be challenging for the opponent to punish on block at long range. Change it so that the second hit will not connect with the grounded opponent, making it easier for the opponent to punish on block. Also made the similar adjustment to make a Death Buster. Universal 6 heavy, a projectile now fires. Characters in counter hit state until the end of recovery. Sweep, increased knockback. Command normal 4. S after far standing or that. Increased launch height after ground bounce. Standard mode Arbalest. Proximity requirement preventing from hitting behind the opponent located behind the character's own push box. Top attack. Grounded opponents can no longer tech on landing. Decreased launch height after ground bounce. That's like her overhead? I'm trying to remember. DP. Counter hit effect. Second hit only connects against airborne opponents. Okay, let's see what happens. Blast off standard. Recovery change from 40 to 56. Frame advantage on hit change from plus 27 plus 9. And decreased launch height. Universal DP changes. Blaze a trail. Fixed issue. Characters in counter hit state can no longer roam and cancel. Weapons free is now 2 frames faster and has faster increased movement speed. Neat. Lucy. I'm curious what they do with Lucy because she was considered pretty weak. We have strengthened her various pokes to allow her to better get an advantage in neutral. Added a vacuum effect to her slash attacks and revised the recovery of Unity. We have added a new effect to Resistance Glitch, which was rarely used, making it a viable option in strings. On the other hand, we revised her overall combo composition to adjust its other combos are not overly extended mid-screen. Adjusted her contagion to prevent overly extended combo damage, because that's what everybody did. Added a vacuum effect that draws opponents into far slash and crouching slash. Her command normal 3, S after far slash, and command normal 4, down slash after crouching slash, with the same vacuum effect could only be used with a fixed timing, making it easier for the opponent to instant block. By adding the vacuum effect to far slash and crouching slash as well, this makes charging mono wire an effective option against opponents aiming to instant block command normal 3 or command normal 4. We've reduced the recovery of Unity, and the third hit now launches the opponent. This makes it easier to use a neutral and possibly approach the opponent on hit. However, remove the wall bounce effect in the corner, making it hard to use mid-combo. Adjusted resistant glitch that so that it applies a guard crush effect to standing heavy slash, crouching heavy slash, and 6 heavy slash while active. Shows you gets heavy guard crushes. Added triggering guard crush to these moves, you can make the opponent block charge mono wire without any openings, making it possible to perform powerful pressure. Adjusted the blowback and active frames of sprint attack sweep and sprint attack crossover to make it harder to extend after hitting in the combo. Also extended the intervals during damage dealt by contagion to restrict possibility extending damage using contagion long combos. 6P has a universal change, has close slash, far slash, pulls opponent in, crouching slash, standing heavy, no longer launches the opponent on ground hit. 6 heavy, 2 frames faster. As a new follow-up hitbox. Command normal 3 now activates even if down is the input. Oh, interesting. Recovery change from 19 to 16, so it's -5. Technically punishable, but you're doing special moves and whatnot. Reduce horizontal blowback, increase launch height. 2S after crouching S, recovery change from 20 to 16. Frame advantage is now -8. Reduce horizontal blowback, increase launch height, decrease launch height. Mono wire, fix an issue where proximity blocker had become too long. Added a follow-up hitbox to the upper part of the hitbox. Mono wire, increase horizontal blowback after ground bounce. Unity, recovery change from 52 to 43, frame advantage and block change from -12 to -3. Of the hold version, remove wall bounce when fitting with a final hit of hold version. Sprint attack, sweep S during sprint. Attack, active frames, reduced knockback on hit, decreased launch to height. The launch height is now reduced when hitting with the same move twice. Sprint attack, cross up. 10% more damage, scaling. Since this move is an overhead, is subject to the universal damage scaling adjustment. However, as an exception, the combo blowback scaling when hit as the first hit has not been changed. Interesting. Decreased launch height after ground bounce on air hit. Mono wire breakout. Counter hit effect, this is just universal DP nerf. Live wire, condition the opponent's health required to transition to finisher. Deep dive after live wire hits change from 15 to 20%. Wow, so you can kill them earlier. Expanded proximity required upward. Contagion, damage interval change from 15 frames to 30 frames. Resistance glitch, RAM usage change from 9 to 11. Duration change from 48 to 240. Guard crush effect there. And that's it. Massive patch, lot of nerfs, but I vibe with a lot of it. Anyways, I'll get working on footage for the patch note stuff over the weekend, as I do have a tournament to prepare for. So, peace out, y'all.